40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
From the Superbook.com sports desk, I'm Jonathan Schaefer. It's 6:01. Good morning. The NFL Scouting Combine began yesterday in Indianapolis. Titans GM Rand Carthon, head coach Mike Vrabel, and offensive coordinator Tim Kelly all spoke to the media. Carthon spoke freely about quarterback Ryan Tannehill and his status.
Ryan is under contract. You know, I know you guys, I just want to speak freely for a moment. You know, I know everybody wants to make a big deal, you know, out of the quarterback position and whether he will or won't be here. But you guys just have to accept the fact that Ryan is under contract, you know, for us. And right now he's a Titan and he will be a Titan.
Our Combine coverage continues throughout the week with the Buck Rising Show, thanks to Scoreboard Bar and Grill, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, and John Roberts Nissan. The Predators traded defenseman Matthias Ekholm to the Edmonton Oilers for defenseman Tyson Barrie, prospect Reed Schaefer, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. The Predators are retaining 4% of Ekholm's remaining salary. The Penguins beat the Predators 3-1 last night at Bridgestone Arena. Pittsburgh scored 3 goals in the final period for the win. To the Association, Grizz 121, Lakers 109. The Lakers without LeBron James. Ja Morant, 39 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists for the triple-double. And college basketball last night, number 12, Tennessee defeated Arkansas 75-57. Though Zakai Ziegler left the game with an injury. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very good Wednesday morning to you in beautiful Music City, USA. Welcome to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And coming up this morning, the Titans make the rounds at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. We catch up with Rhett, Bryan, and Jim Nagy as they break down the best prospects to watch over these next couple of days. And the Vols get more info on their NCAA troubles, while the basketball Vols start off March the right way. Alongside 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster.
Yay.
Our capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson. And the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer, making the show happen.
In the world.
My name is Will Bowling. Good morning.
Good morning,
What
Will.
up?
Kayla, how are y'all?
I don't know what day it is. What is it? Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
It's hump day.
Welcome.
Let's just wish it were Friday.
It has kind of felt like a long day.
Okay.
That's what I need. I wish it were.
It can be any day you need it
wish
to
it
be,
were.
Kayla. It sure
But it's not really Friday. So
Not really.
I can't
really
do
at all.
it.
We can celebrate like it's Friday. We can make it Friday.
Man.
Of course.
It's a hump day for real.
Man, you need to get over the hump, Kayla. Like that. I feel you, dog. It's like that sometimes.
We sleep in May,
We
now that March is officially
We don't
started.
sleep. What are
Hey.
you talking about?
Okay.
Hey.
We never sleep.
We don't. By the way, last night, late night at the ballpark, had a doubleheader last night. And it's funny, because the parents know my sleep schedule and stuff like that right now. My guy Chase up top was like, hey, Mo, gonna be a rough one tomorrow, huh? I'm like,
Too much
he
going
said-
on late.
He said something, a couple of the other parents like, how do you guys do this in the morning? I was like, vampires. We're
Well,
vampires.
sometimes the nights where you get only like 4 hours of sleep are the days you feel best the next day, in my
Yeah,
experience.
sometimes.
Yeah, I
But then
actually
it
don't feel
catches
bad.
up to
And
you.
then
I
the
feel
and
like.
then the
for
next
yourself.
the next day after that is when you're
This is
like,
way too
oh
bright.
no.
Feel like cheeks out here.
Yeah, literally.
The hell are you talking about?
Nah, I actually I did get into bed. It was I made it home about 11:03 last night.
Good Lord.
Yeah. We were at Friendship
11:03
Christian.
at the doubleheader?
Yeah, I knew we was gonna start late too. When we got there, we were supposed to start at 5:30. Game still going on. Had 2 innings left in the game before us. I was like, gonna be a late one.
Did Pat Adams call too many fouls in the game before you too?
You know what? Sometimes I'm not a fan of bad calls. Last night at like 10:45, I was like, call a strike. Call it.
Just get him out.
There's no need to walk this kid. Get us
Yep.
out of here. And you hear the
It'd
parents.
be like that sometimes.
Yeah. And
Just don't get thrown out.
no, not. I told both of the Blues last night. Is that disrespectul too, by the way, to call the umpires blue?
No.
It's not?
Not at
Okay.
all.
I'm walking out
so.
and I'm like, hey, good calls tonight. I was just like, I'm not getting on the bad side again, man.
You were essentially Rob Lowe wearing the NFL Shield hat at the Super Bowl.
I was. You know what I did last night though? I honestly just want to listen to music. I put on that Chopped and Screwed Drake album, and I just let like slow music like keep me cool.
When you were watching?
Because I knew it was gonna be a long night, and I didn't want to get agitated, so I put in
Okay.
like one of my headphones, and like I was still talking to parents and stuff like that around, and I was just like in my ear, just following the rhythm of the music, just like, man, look,
Vibing.
just vibing.
They're
That's
like, what
pretty
is
much what I was
he doing up there?
Yeah,
It's just like busting out dance moves.
rookie mistake last night too. I wore shorts to the park and
Not
not
smart.
realizing 60 in the winter
No,
ain't
when
60
it-
in the summer.
When the snow
It's
goes
not.
down, or
When the snow, yeah.
When the snow
that's when we know
down,
it's Wednesday.
we'll be grooving when the snow goes down.
Oh my god!
No music.
When the sun goes down.
No music.
So when the sun goes down, it gets cold because Travis came home from his baseball game and he literally had like 6 layers on,
Yeah.
or his scrimmage, I should say. And
Yeah.
he went there with like 1 layer.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets serious, man.
That's the plus side of me being a very unorganized person, is that I'm always driving around with a closet in my trunk.
Yeah.
That was not a euphemism for anything. That was just my car. And essentially, anytime I get caught off guard and it's freezing, I've got like a hoodie, a jacket, a rain
Yeah.
jacket, a big jacket, another big jacket, another rain jacket. Like it's in my golf clubs, which I don't usually need right now. But Yeah, no, that's the plus side of just being really unorganized.
Yeah.
You just put it all in your trunk.
Pretty much.
Had my brother-in-law ask me, like, on a school night, yeah, we had either 7 innings or 2-hour game limit last night. Pretty wild. This weekend we had an hour 15. That was just like a jamboree, though.
Okay, yeah, that's.
But like
can we make 'em all
weekdays
like
for
that?
middle school, I was thinking, I'm not complaining because I actually do enjoy watching other than being sleep deprived. But hour 15 probably should be the max on weekdays for
I
middle
agree.
schoolers. High school's probably a little bit different.
I miss those days.
Yeah.
You do?
It's my favorite sport I ever played.
Straight up.
More so even than the one that I did in college.
Yeah.
Not really.
Baseball?
But it's different parts of my brain.
I enjoy going to the parks like with all the parents around and stuff like that because I get a beat for our show. By the way, they
You-
like what we doing.
you get a
here.
what for
I get
your
an
show?
understanding for
Oh,
our
okay.
show.
You get a heartbeat.
A heartbeat for our show. Yeah, I left a word off of that. I do that at times, Kayla. You know that. But they enjoy what we do
Lazy.
first and foremost. But then I had somebody tell me last night. It's like, man, truthfully, this is the most exciting time of the year for me. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, man, you got the combine coming up. You got the draft. Baseball's kicking up. You
March
got March Madness. I was like, I never looked at it that way because it was always, hey, go back to work. You know what I'm saying? But this is kind of exciting.
And it's always busy. It doesn't matter what's going on because, the Preds doing more things last night with trade. So I'm watching the Preds, watching Tennessee basketball. Then I'm getting ready for the state championships in a few weeks for basketball. So I'm watching Independence and Nolensville ball out on the court, trying to get, prepped for that, learning these kids. And so you're watching like 3 things. I think that's what's so exhausting sometimes. There's never really a break in sports, although you might think there is.
Yeah.
No. There's always something going on.
Now,
At least in
sometimes-
Nashville.
Kayla just went mid-tempo. No.
No. No.
Yeah.
No, I always tell myself the same thing, and I'll tell my friends, like, oh, no, I'm just working a lot now. And then in a couple months, I'll be in my off season. And then something else comes up. And it's like, no, but like in a couple months, I'll be in my off season. And then it's like, I don't have.
Then it's football season. Boom.
What's an off season?
There's
What-
none.
Our season never ends here on 104.5 The Zone. Anyway,
Yeah.
coming up this morning, our season really doesn't end. Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl joins us at 8 o'clock. Rhett Bryan at 9 o'clock. There are a number of interesting prospects who can help themselves the most at the NFL Combine. I want to focus on that with both of those guys, specifically a couple of the offensive linemen, and a very special edition of Scout Meeting Wednesday with
You
Ramon
know what?
Foster this morning.
You asked me to do that yesterday because
He was
we all
a little
gotta-
busted
I was
about
just
that.
Because I was just thinking I got to do it for Titans Radio, and the portion of me was just like, okay, no. I was just like, hey, okay, yeah. Everybody pull their weight in this group.
You look in the mirror, you're like, I can do this, Ramon.
Yeah,
I can do this.
You are
You
better
can
than
do this.
Yeah. But I sat back at the game and did scouting yesterday, and I was just like, okay, by the way, the detail of these guys, if y'all can stomach me talking about offensive linemen, tackles specifically,
We try to.
it's going to be very interesting. I hope for y'all because
What do you mean, can we? We have been for the past 5 months.
I know,
do
but
for a
I don't
living.
like to overstep my boundaries with the OL
Oh,
love.
give me a
Y'all know-
break.
y'all know
Don't
how
give me
it
that.
We are taking away boundaries that you may overstep. You may keep it between the navigational beacons.
Wait, Ramon's
Yeah.
saying he doesn't want to be a line stepper?
Yeah, right.
That's wild. An offensive line stepper.
No,
Yeah.
but y'all gonna be really intrigued by the top 3 that you gave me, Will, to look up, man. Like I was just like, thank you, Will Bowling.
We're going
His
to
name is Will Bowling.
Yes.
It's Will
Never
Bowling.
forget it. And don't you ever forget it. Weekdays from 6 to 10 on 104.5 The Zone. We're going to dive into the 3 big tackle prospects. Interesting. Pro Football Focus actually had a different prospect ranked 3rd. Most outlets, most publications, because everyone has a draft blog, will put Broderick
Right.
Jones, Peter Skronsky, and Paris Johnson as the top 3.
You know what we can say about a lot of those blogs?
Not really an athlete.
Exactly.
A lot of Titans podcasts, a lot of draft blogs out there in the world. Anyway, 615-737-1045. We'll dive into those 3 guys. And coming up, we dive into what Ian Rappaport and Rand Carthon had to say about Ryan Tannehill's status as a Tennessee Titan. Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel made the rounds yesterday. Some things that were just non-answers that don't really give us more clarity. other things that were interesting, starting with the status of your quarterback. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Old School Vapor. Kayla, you know, as a former professional athlete, I have aches and pains I deal with almost every single day. But now I found Old School Vapor. They are hands down the most knowledgeable when it comes to helping me get some relief.
And I get that. We all are experiencing aches and pains, especially in these winter months. You know, the climate changes, our muscles are aching a little bit. And you're exactly right, Ramon. And this is what I love about them. You walk in, they make you feel comfortable, someone to greet and guide you in the right direction. And pet owners, you're going to love this. They have so many choices for your fur babies. If they have separation anxiety, let's say they have some travel issues, they've got you covered at Old School Vapor. You can go shop Old School Vapor's selection of over 200 legal CBD products. They got brands like Looper, Torch, Hidden Hills, and a lot more.
And that's the thing, too, Kelly. And you know, in my open, I said it helps you get relief. You're probably thinking, what do you mean, Ramon? Well, this is what I mean. For people that need to go to sleep or have appetite issues or have anxiety issues or just have pains that you don't want to continue to take pain meds, there are solutions for you. And I know it's kind of taboo speaking about CBD, but guess what, Kayla? There's a lot of benefits for it, and there's a very knowledgeable group inside of Old School Vapor that's willing to help and point you in the right direction.
Absolutely, Ramon. And you know what? They're easy to find. You can just check them out on Instagram. You can see some of those photos of what it looks like inside and the selection. You can also go Google them, Old School Vapor, to find your nearest location.
4 locations, though. Franklin, both ends of Spring Hill, Columbia, and I promise you more to come. That's Old School Vapor. And these products contain nicotine, which is an addictive chemical, must be 21 years or older to purchase, and no sales to minors.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here at 104.5 The Zone, whether the sun or the snow is going down. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. A little bit of Kenny Chesney and Uncle Cracker this morning on 104.5 The Zone.
Love this song.
I remember when this song came out.
Do you? When was
Were
it?
you born? I didn't know you were born.
I was born. Not yesterday, but I was born.
That was
You
a long
weren't
time
very
ago.
old.
This song
Yeah, it was
came
like- that
out
was a long time ago.
in 2004, Jonathan Schaefer.
Sounds
you
about
know.
right.
Seems
405.
Seems older than
I was
that.
living in Knoxville. That's how I know. 'Cause that was the 1 year I lived in Knoxville as a kid.
Was 04?
2003.
04 and 5. I was close.
When
Very
do
close.
songs catch on? Because that's the thing
No,
about
it was-
it.
it was 04.
Those releases.
February 2nd,
Well,
2004.
It was a big hit.
I was a big. Who
Yeah, I
this
was still
against?
working in
Uncle
country
Cracker
music.
and
Yeah.
Kenny Chesney.
Okay.
Yeah, it was-
Kenny, who I think still lives around this area. Probably
Well,
has a
as
house in
big as his
Knoxville and
friggin'
Nashville.
tours are, he probably got a house in each division of Tennessee at this point. I know what his concerts in Memphis. I mean, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
I
he
don't
was
think Kenny Chesney's played in Memphis.
He was a great performer. I saw him in Birmingham when I was a wee baby
Oh, he's
sportscaster. But he's a cool dude too. Real mellow, real chill. You know?
Yeah, they say he's a good dude though too.
The pride of Gibbs High School.
Gibbs.
So how far is that from like Knoxville?
30 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he
30,
really
45
was
minutes. Yeah.
like raised a Vols fan.
One of
Yeah.
my teammates at UT, his dad played high school baseball with him growing up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He's not very vertical in stature, is he?
No, he's really short.
He's short.
He's super. Yeah. Okay.
Diminutive.
Yeah. That's why Vols fans always give him crap about putting on Florida stuff. Is that fair for an artist to do though, or how do y'all feel about that? I don't really. I get
Well,
they're selling the bit or they're selling the
I
crowd.
think they want it to be
Yeah.
like Darius Rucker, who will go play a show in like anywhere in South Carolina and literally is on camera saying bleep Tennessee during
Yeah.
one
Darius?
of his concerts.
Yeah, he did. You never heard that
He's
one?
like the
No, I
biggest
guess I
South
didn't.
Carolina guy in the world, Craig.
Oh yeah.
There aren't, to be fair, there aren't many guys that will say on the record they're South Carolina guys. So he's kind of stands out because he's the only one.
I understand why.
Do you?
But
Caleb?
Kenny Chesney will go play a show in Tampa and wear like a Tim Tebow jersey.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of Kenny though. Like he's kind of like friends
So
with
it's
everybody.
accepted then,
Yeah,
right?
you know where his heart lies.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'll put it this way. If you're being upset by that, you're taking it way too seriously.
yeah. Well, folks went at Inky for it too.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I was
they
actually going
did?
to say the exact same thing.
Well, like
because
Inky played, so maybe a little different.
Inky's talked to so many of these
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah.
he's being brought in to talk to Florida,
Yeah.
talk to Alabama.
Now, him
Like,
and Lane are pretty tight too.
Kiffin?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I like
I'm
him.
surprised.
I think Lane's growth, Ink's been a part of it,
It's all right.
like in
We all
some
make mistakes.
capacity. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
but
cool
him,
with it.
Him and Lane were also on the same staff with his dad with money too.
Right.
So Ink was a GA before he started doing what he's doing now.
Lane needs Inky, so I'm cool with that.
oh my God. Unreal.
Save that and play for midweek motivation,
Oh,
man.
He'll find a way to twist it.
Yeah.
No, Lane needs Inky Johnson in his life.
625.
Don't we all though? I mean, honestly, like I don't think there's any of us who don't need that kind of influence in our lives. But no, I don't know. From everything I've heard about Lane, the guy really has been domesticated a little bit.
Kayla's the one
Yeah.
who sold me on it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be real with you.
Well, yeah.
Well, and me. I've got my sources.
Well, I mean, we all, yeah. Like I believe
What now?
you. It's not like
Okay.
I don't believe you. It's just that I believe he needs like a 10-year span of that being said from the beginning and the end of
Well,
10 years. For
we
me to
don't
be
all
like,
get a plan
you
how
are
we are in
changed.
life from
No,
start to
we do
beginning. It
not.
just kind of
Well,
unfolds
yeah,
the way it's going to unfold.
Because your boy at even early 30s was not the person I am now, Kayla. You feel me?
Well, I remember meeting him at the Senior Bowl,
Yeah.
my first Senior Bowl I went to, and he was the new Raiders head coach. I mean, he was like 31 or something like that.
I will say. Go
And
ahead.
it's just crazy to think like that's what he was that young on that big of a stage.
Yeah.
And he failed a lot. a lot.
And we laughed.
And was
too.
humbled
And we
quite a
laughed.
bit. So you would hope at this
Yeah.
point, I don't know how old he is, 40 somewhere,
Yeah.
that he would be to the point where he's kind of
My
He
matured
is
as a
older
band,
than you
right?
think he is.
my
Yeah,
thing
how old
about
is
him.
he?
47.
Oh,
I-
dang. Okay.
Is
He's got a
really?
baby face, so he looks like. I mean, even when he was the head coach at Tennessee, he looked like he was my age.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
saying something
no, he
because I'm
did.
young.
He's
and I look young.
41, you said?
47.
40, he's 47.
That's what I'm saying.
I hate that.
Lane's been around a lot longer than you think.
I'll say this. I do hate the fact that he was just catapulted into every role that he's kind of had, though. The Raiders job, I wasn't too sure about that.
No, nobody was. But it was Lane Kiffin. Money's son.
If you look like a wonderkin with blonde hair,
Yeah. I know.
Congratulations
Don't get me started.
on your NFL career.
Yeah, I know, right?
Never forget, Ryan McGee said on this show that Lane's picture with Fresno State when he was like a GA
Yep, it was punchable.
was the most punchable face in human history. I added that last part.
Yeah.
That
I
was
knew
for
you
free.
did that one.
That was for free, Shafe?
You're welcome.
Okay.
615-737-1045 is our number. And we go to Indianapolis, where Rand Carthon is commenting on Ryan Tannehill. You could read into these things however you want to.
Who's
and
not?
I even saw reaction to his comments on Tannehill specifically of people saying, this is the most non-committal answer I've ever heard. Mental gymnastics season. This is what
I'm
Rand
so tired
Carthon
of
had to
this.
say about the quarterback.
Right now, he's a Titan, and he will be a Titan.
Once again, you can tell that Rand Carthon has spent more time with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
If Rand Carthon is using the Mike Vrabel line of, well, he's under contract,
Yeah.
that is Vrabel 101.
We didn't perform well, and so we're on to Cincinnati.
Same thing. I
same
think
thing.
Keywords
Yeah,
that
it
he
is.
uses.
Under contract right now.
We're under contract. And, we're moving on to Cincinnati.
Jonathan Schaefer's Bill Belichick equal to his Kermit.
Yeah, it's pretty
Elliott.
good.
Could you do Kermit as Bill Belichick?
Oh, that's difficult.
That's a mind
That's a task.
breaker.
We're moving on to Cincinnati.
Perfect. That's all I want.
Oh God,
Thank you.
I love Kermit.
I think that is the stock answer, though, from Rand that all GMs are giving right now when it comes down to their quarterbacks and the commitment. Because Gutekunst, how do you say it? Green Bay's GM?
Gutekunst.
You did good.
Woodenkant.
He said the same thing about
Let's
A-Rod,
change his
too.
name to
Woodenkant.
one of those people that Aaron Rodgers apparently despises.
Or in bosses
There we
around.
go. Who does he not despise, right?
Exactly.
Go
There's
back to your hovel, Aaron.
Except for
I
Pat
know.
McAfee. That's about all.
He said the same thing about Aaron Rodgers as far as he's under contract. And
Oh yeah, and he's in a
was-
hole as well.
I actually took work home yesterday and went to, I was talking to my wife about Ryan Tannehill. I was like, man, if I was Ryan, I'd probably be over and done, probably emotionally.
And that's exactly what Ian Rappaport had to say yesterday. And I opened this conversation not because Rand said anything particularly interesting, but because it began the discussion in Indianapolis, which led us to this quote and this conversation from Ian Rappaport on NFL Network yesterday.
Yeah, I would say some wiggle room there. I mean, what he essentially said is that Ryan Tannehill is a Titan. He is the quarterback, and that is the way it stands.
He says he's going to be a Titan.
Yeah, and I think that is the most likely option. I'd be curious, though, contract-wise, what's going to happen. I mean, because if you're Ryan Tannehill and, perhaps you'd want some long-term security, certainly that is something that every quarterback wants. I think if you're Tennessee, you would look at his number and say, like, what are we getting for, a number in the 20s? So maybe there's some way that the two sides can get together and say, all right, contractually, financially, what's the best way to maybe lower the cap hit or lower the number and make sure he gets some security, find a way to do that. Now, I would say this. If you're the Tennessee Titans and you look around in the league and you say, well, who could I actually get? Isn't Ryan Tannehill the best option? If you're Tannehill and you look around and you say, I could go in a bunch of different places, where's better for me than Tennessee? Right. So this might be a case where they got to figure out the numbers perhaps, but mutually beneficial for him to stay.
So there's Ian Rappaport yesterday on NFL Network, and I think he raises a good point that you're going to run this guy off if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he still is the best option you have this offseason, even though a succession plan within the next 2 years is important for this franchise moving forward.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Kyle.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. We all kind of talked about that already, that they might restructure. They might find a way to make it beneficial for themselves. But I understand like there could be other options for Ryan, but they keep on going back to the fact whether you're Mike Vrabel or Rand Carthon, like he's under contract right now. They're not going to give us any hints at anything. All we can do is break down the tone of their voice. Yeah. and try to say, oh yeah, this means this. They're still open to doing it. I think when it comes down to it, with all the other issues that this team has to kind of fix this year, patch up, I think just knowing that you have the quarterback in your room right now, and yeah, you might have to do some little things to shift around things. Right. I think why mess with that right now? Because in my opinion, there isn't anything on the free agent market that's really that much better.
It's not, Kayla. It's like, I don't know what happened to the plethora of players that actually help elevate your team. Like, I feel like the last couple years have been years of like middle of the road free agency in a sense, right? Even with receivers, with just big skill, small skill players, but we got multiple franchise quarterbacks in free agency, and a lot of teams that have questions about their quarterbacks, but no real solution other than, man, we hope we get some out of the draft, maybe. But if I'm Tannehill, I'm looking at his contract right now. It says his base salary this year's $27 million. In the world of like a workable deal, this is pretty legit for when it comes to middle of the road quarterbacks. This is also the last year on this one, unless they extend him out. He's still on the books as far as dead cap for a couple years because they push money down the line for Julio. But if I'm Ryan Tannehill, I look at this situation, it's like, man, I kind of want a pay raise. I think that's fair for a quarterback like that if you're him. I'm not saying you do it, but if I'm on the last year, like quarterbacks get extensions when you got just a year left on your contract and you're the best option the team has. And I guess the bigger question, too, is probably for our crowd. Is Tannehill not good or you're just over Tannehill?
I think it's the second one.
I think it's the over because people get over things quick.
Yeah.
And it's still the 3 interceptions against Cincinnati.
I know.
I mean, if Ryan even just has one interception in that game and the Titans win or the Titans lose, I mean, his legacy is tied to 2 home playoff losses in Nashville.
That's fair.
But even last year we were saying, oh, Ryan, like Ryan's done a good job of taking care of the football and Ryan's done this and that. And then once he got injured, I think then it went back to, oh, well, Ryan. Ryan.
That wasn't on Ryan.
I know, but it's just it's one more thing to attach to it and to go back. To the and then look at him in the playoffs.
I hate
battered Titans syndrome.
So Rand comments.
But I get it. I mean, I really do.
Didn't say it was invalid.
Right.
I'm just saying that's what it is.
I understand watching teams seamlessly transition from one veteran quarterback to a young stud in this franchise saying, I want what Kansas City's having. Well, I want what, and everyone does, right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes don't
be
grow
aggressive
on trees.
enough.
But this is where the BTS sets in. It's not just that. It's the wounds of, hey, VY, oh. Jake Locker, oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Marcus, That's where we're at. All that baggage, all that previous trauma is pulled along with the psyche of this fan base. And it's understandable.
For every Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady, there is a Russell Wilson.
Oh.
For every Matthew Stafford that comes in as a veteran and does a good job and meets expectations and wins a ring and advances your franchise, which, by the way, was only really a 1-year advancement because now they're in cap hell. There is also a Russell Wilson where a team goes all in and makes those aggressive moves. And for all the fans that'll tell us, what, this franchise just is never aggressive. They never go for it. The Denver Broncos went for it. You think they feel good about that decision now?
Not right now.
You think they regret that a little bit? I mean, they just had to fire their coach after 1 year in order to make it work around one player.
And to pile on to that too, Will, to me, it's this, man. It's the idea that you hadn't been back to the show, hadn't won one either. Like, I never won a Super Bowl either, but I was inside a franchise that knew how to craft it to get to that point. And I think that's the frustrating thing is, like, what is the Titans' template to getting to the Super Bowl? And I think all of this, it's almost like shuffling the cards or shuffling dominoes in a sense. Like, where do you pull from to get to that point again? I think that's most frustrating. You ran Derek gets you to the first round bye, and then you lose that one. Then you also get to the AFC Championship a few years before that. Then you lose that.
Deontay Foreman got them to the first round bye, not Derek.
That's true too. I didn't want to peel back that Band-Aid either.
Honest.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That is very. But when you discuss trading Derrick Henry, or Derrick Henry may only have a year or two left, then you also run into the fan base and say, "No, never that." So, and that's the point, though, Will, Kayla. Like, what is the actual recipe for this franchise to get there?
That's why I wonder too. Like, if you were going to make one move this year that was a big move, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather see Derek be traded and you draft one of these running backs because there's a freaking pile of them in the combine or in the draft? Or would you just be like, let's wipe our hands clean of Ryan Tannehill and let's do what we can do this year and then see what happens in terms of drafting one next year?
So,
I mean, I feel like they want one of the. I feel like they want something big. Like Titans fans want just one big thing just to kind of start clearing the.
But 2
clearing
years
the air
ago,
a little.
the big, honestly, was Ryan Tannehill, Deontay Foreman, and a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that back with Derek last year. You don't get it. So again, it's almost like a magic trick. Like, which card do you pull to get us back to the promised land? And nobody knows at this point. Then you change GMs. You win Coach of the Year with Vrabel, but then you don't make the playoffs last year. And you got Jacksonville, and you got the Colts. Like, it's super frustrating.
Within the last 2 years on this radio station, we were having the conversation coming off of the, 2020 season at that point. When the NFL ranked Matt Ryan ahead of, or one writer, it wasn't even the NFL.
I remember.
One writer ranked Matt Ryan ahead of Ryan Tannehill in their quarterback rankings at number 10.
Yeah.
And we all lost our collective minds, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Tannehill at the Titans was better than Matt Ryan was in that current moment at the end of his career in Atlanta. The conversation then became Ryan Tannehill was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL at that point, and he was.
Right.
That was the correct opinion. Coming off of what this team did with Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator, with everything being right around him, Ryan Tannehill was a top 10 QB in this league when everything was right. The difference is between offensive coordinator, left tackle, wide receiver, an offensive line that was aging, a running back that's starting to age a little bit, a running back that was hurt last year.
Yeah.
Julio Jones being hurt.
Yeah.
Everything wasn't right anymore. Now, where the issue resides is the fact that the Titans don't have the draft capital to make everything right again around him because of the number they're paying him and Derrick Henry, which leads us to where we are now. Ryan Tannehill can't be a top 10 quarterback again in this team unless they spend a heck of a lot of money on that offense, which probably means getting rid of Bud Dupree and some others that you don't want to lose.
I remember when Tannehill was ranked 7th.
Yeah. He was really good. He was really, really, really good in 2019 and 2020.
And he had people in front of him, big men in front of him, guys that
true, too.
could do, the job. Still had AJ.
So what's the recipe,
With this,
y'all?
which is another, I feel like for Titans fans, just keeps on getting slapped in the face because you finally get a wide receiver again that you know could be the dude for a while, and then he goes. Then he's like that's another thing with Titans fans. I understand.
Yeah.
I get that.
Right, but weren't using him as the dude.
You mean AJ?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And
So we got to be honest about that.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, there was injuries
He even
involved, no
said it.
question. But weren't using him as the dude.
that ain't AJ's fault.
And he said it too. I'm playing behind Derrick Henry.
Everyone is secondary to Derrick Henry. They just are.
So what does that mean? Does that mean you maybe need to part ways
Who's to say?
to be able to see something different?
That's why we have jobs.
Just putting it out
615-737-1045.
there.
Your phone calls and more reaction for the Combine coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Violence! It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, and I know who you are, man. You're just like me. It's getting warm. You're walking around your yard, looking at the grass, trying to see, did that seed catch this fall? Did everything work right? And then you see a weed, and then you complain about it. Then you get mad about it, and you're just over the top the way I am. Well, I got the people that can take care of that for you. They are Secure Lawn, and right now is the time to be applying crabgrass and broadleaf weed control to your lawn, and they are the best people to call. Secure Lawn. When I say that name, if you know, because there's no one better. They are celebrating right now, serving Middle Tennessee for 20 years, and lawns is what they do, and they are good at it. If you need your trees trimmed, shrubs planted, you need to call somebody else, because Secure Lawn doesn't do all that. But if you want your grass looking like something out of a magazine, if you need lawn fertilizer or weed control, you need to call Secure Lawn. They're family owned, operated, and they are local. And the best part about what they do, everything that they use is pet, kid, and environmentally friendly, so you don't have to worry about any dangerous chemicals hurting you or your family. They serve all types of grass and service residential, commercial, and even athletic fields. So get a head start on your yard and call Secure Lawn. That's 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. 615-737-1045 is our number. If you know anyone in Starkville, Mississippi, maybe send them Ron Slay's way. Is that fair to say at this point?
He's like, get him up out of
Ron
there.
is stuck. He needs
Slay-
a cowbell right now to
Slay
bring in somebody
tweeted-
to pick him up.
A couple of minutes ago, actually at the beginning of the show, more than a couple minutes ago,
Yeah.
right after Twitter woke up, because it was down again overnight. Shout out Elon for that. He said, "Am I stuck in Starkville? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark."
Yes, he
Uber
is.
and Lyft is trying to Uber nor Lyft is trying to make any money in Starkville. Said, and then he made a reference that I didn't get. He said, "I wonder if Claude and Ray Gibson are up. Feel like I'm stuck in Natchez under the hill. Hashtag stranded
What's
in Stark
that,
Vegas."
Ramon?
That's from the movie Life with Eddie
with
Murphy and
Life.
Martin Lawrence.
Oh, by the way, Travis is obsessed with that movie, and he said Ron and him need to sit down and watch it because they would just go
we
off on
need to
those
sit
two.
down and watch that.
Did I
Kayla.
say your name?
Well, yeah, you
No,
did.
I didn't. I
I'm
said
including.
Ron.
I'm coming
I
to
said
that
Ron.
party. No, I'm coming to that party. You know how often we quote that movie, Natchez Under the Hill? Travis gets that quote
Travis
this
was
morning.
like, I could sit down and just, go to town with that movie.
Oh my gosh, Travis, you
Boys'
sir.
night.
So I hope Slay finds a ride to the airport.
Don't bring your blanket, Travis. Yeah, no, he said he got a car service, but it's hard to get there.
Ron is so irritated. I
He
called
is.
his phone and it went to voicemail.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, man.
He's legitimately like ticked off.
Well, and he doesn't have the Apple Do Not Disturb feature.
Oh, that's right, because he has a droid.
He's literally just, he's like, nah, man, not right
Oh, that's right. He has a droid,
By the
right?
way,
His droid.
you have a do not disturb feature on Droid 2.
now. Okay.
Does it work with iPhones?
So, Kayla, my brother was listening this morning. Shout out to Wes,
Yeah.
listening
Shout out to
from
Wes. Big Wes.
What's
he
up,
was at
Wes?
the UT game. He said,
that.
I don't know if you'll take this personally or be offended by this or not.
All right. Oh, no.
That did
All right, all
not
right.
start off right.
Give yourself a couple of seconds before you say this and think about what you may have to clean up later if you say
Blood
it.
spatter.
He just said Starkville is similar to Spokane. Said like,
No.
okay, maybe
Not even close.
Oh,
I don't even know how that's no offense, Wes,
Like
but
of the
I don't even
Pac-12.
know.
like compared to
Washington
other Pac-12
State
cities.
is not in Spokane.
Okay,
Washington
well, whatever.
State's in Pullman.
Okay, well then Pullman is the whatever
Well,
it is.
Pullman's like a real college town, but it's nothing
Well, so
like.
is Starkville.
Yeah, but Starkville
No,
is Starkville.
no, it's not. It's not.
And what's the
been there.
closest city? Starkville.
I don't know.
Spokane is an hour and a half away from Pullman, which is a
Okay.
big city. I don't know the closest big city to Starkville.
Anyway.
But let's just make that clear. Pullman is where Washington State is,
kept it to
not
myself.
Spokane. Spokane is where I'm from. That's a city.
That noise you just heard was that
All right.
blade she just
There
pulled
you
out of
go.
her purse.
Let's
For a
get
while,
everybody correct here.
For a while, me, Wes, and Ramon went to the second largest city in the SEC.
yeah. Who? You talking about Knoxville? Yeah. Nashville's number one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew that.
Okay,
far
he clarified
away,
and said
yeah.
Pullman, not Spokane.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
Kayla's. Hey, don't let him off the hook, man. You got him in the corner now.
That's
What
fine.
you
I mean,
call
again,
keeping receipts.
We will have all of my people on the show, I guess, at some point this summer.
Man, let's run it
Keep it
up.
My siblings. my
Please
roommate.
get Claire.
Oh, that's true. It'll happen.
Wes, it's been a while since he's been
I
around.
know.
Yeah, we
What's
gotta get
Wes
Wes on.
doing?
Gotta get Wes.
been a minute.
With them kids. Everybody I know that's retired now, all they
They're-
want to say, my kids. Is always
Keep them plenty busy.
our kids, man.
Mom, what I tell you before the show today when you got back home after 11 o'clock last night? Bleep them kids.
Man,
Believe them, kids.
love them too much, man. And now they got me invested in a sport called baseball. I'm out here like, golly.
It's that
Good
time
luck
of the
with
year.
that one.
I know, Kayla. You said Travis warned me, right?
Man,
Eesh.
When
I
in
love
doubt,
the sport, but
when in doubt, if you don't know where Ramon Foster or Brent Doherty are, just assume they're at a baseball game.
Pretty much.
Wes
Yeah.
has tweeted at us at Ramon Kayla Will. I said, quote, Kayla is from the Starkville of the Pac-12, was referring to Pullman.
oh, Will twisted that around.
I said of the
Crap
No,
star.
no, no,
Crap
no, no,
star.
no, 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 no,
Go
no,
crap
no,
star.
no, no,
Put
no,
him
no,
in the
no, no,
corner,
no, 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 no,
Put him in
no.
the corner.
Well, I didn't
You
know
said
which one he was talking about.
Spokane.
Well, then I
No, no, no.
clarified and
Put him in
said
the
that's not where
corner.
Washington State is. I meant Pullman.
Get him.
And I said
Get it.
Pullman
Now,
of the
get him.
or of the Pac-12.
Y'all will have to take a trip now. If you've been to Starkville, you may have.
Never.
And then you can take a trip to Pullman and tell me what's better. Okay, I'll just keep it at that.
Can I be real with you, though?
Go ahead.
I'm not going either one.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean,
They're smaller college towns, yes. In that way, they're similar.
Okay, there you go.
But Washington State, we know how to do it.
way
there on the
more
police.
popping.
I spend plenty of time in
I know.
Washington State.
Sorry.
And
I'm
y'all
I'm
colors
not
look
going to
better.
Pullman.
My roommate at one point was interested in Mississippi State because we've talked about this before. They have a golf course management major
Yeah.
at Mississippi State.
Yeah. They
Which
have
the-
one actually at Washington State, too.
I went into the wrong
That's
line
all
of
I
work.
ever
That's what
had.
I should have done.
We also make our own cheese up there and ice
Oh.
cream.
Lovely.
Do
Yeah.
you?
Cougar Gold. Check it out.
Cougar
if you guys
Gold.
like cheese, it's the best cheese
Don't look
around.
that up on a work browser.
I don't think Starkville. I don't think Mississippi State does that.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. And we took one of the high prospects out of their state 2 days ago, too.
Zach
Exactly.
Wilson is interested in a
Or
Cougar
wide
Gold.
receiver.
Who is-
break.
We got to go to break right now.
We're just arguing on.
I know, because hey,
You opened up Pandora's box, man.
it's hump day. We got to
Coming
figure
up
something
next.
out.
More conversation around those Tennessee Volunteers, the other alma mater represented on this show. They got a big win last night. And off the field in the world of football, learned more details on its NCAA violations. And I can just tell you that Alabama fans that wanted Jeremy Pruitt to be their defensive coordinator going to have to wait a couple more
3 to
years
5 years.
before he's inevitably back there as an analyst. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time, and for good reason. And that's because they've served Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands of satisfied residential customers. They are the go-to company when it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing. And if you have a wet basement or crawl space, you don't have to put up with that. Water intrusion and moisture could give you all sorts of problems down the road, and you want to get this fixed. It could be because you have poor drainage or surface water flooding over the walls or underwater pressure forcing water into your basement. It could be because of plumbing leak. You just don't know. But the team at United Structural Systems will find out why you have a wet basement or crawl space, and will give you a plan to fix it. And if you decide to move forward, you don't have to pay a dime until the work is done and you are satisfied. So get that free estimate from the people I trust. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Or call 615-227-2275. United Structural Systems.
7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The NFL scouting combine began yesterday at Indianapolis. Titans GM Ryan Carthon, also head coach Mike Vrabel and offensive coordinator Tim Kelly all spoke to the media. Carthon spoke freely about quarterback Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan is under contract. I know you guys, I just want to speak freely for a moment. I know everybody wants to make a big deal, out of the quarterback position and whether he will or won't be here. But you guys just have to accept the fact that Ryan is under contract, for us. And right now he's a Titan and he will be a Titan.
Our combine coverage continues throughout the week with the Buck Rising Show, thanks to Scoreboard Bar and Grill, Dickens Surf and Landscape Supply, and John Roberts Nissan. The Predators traded defenseman Matthias Ekholm to the Edmonton Oilers for defenseman Tyson Barrie, prospect Reed Schaefer, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. On the ice last night at Bridgestone Arena, Penguins 3, Predators 1. Pittsburgh scored 3 goals in the final period for the win. To the association, Grizz winning Grind City over the Lakers 121-109. The Lake Show without LeBron James. Ja Morant, a triple-double of 39 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. Men's college basketball up on Rocky Top last night. Number 12 Tennessee defeated Arkansas 75-57. Sakai Ziegler, though, left the game with an apparent leg injury. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2, getting the ball rolling this morning on a Wednesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up, Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, joining us in 1 hour on the dot as we discuss the players that could help themselves the most at the NFL Combine, including many of them who were in Mobile with us a few weeks back, who has seen their stock rise, including a couple of Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, they have.
Over these past couple of weeks. That's Ramon Foster. She's Kayla Anderson. Behind the glass, there's Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
My name is Will Bowling, as we continue to break down all of the happenings at Indianapolis, where Buck Rising and Lucas Panzica and Kirby Allen Kirby are eating shrimp cocktail, and Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel talked to the media yesterday.
They did. Rand had folks sending me messages about his pressers, like the Golden State comment.
Why was that so overblown?
He made the comment again about everybody wants to play Golden State Warriors football until it gets cold.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that needs to be retired.
And what's crazy is, and he said that, was it with us? Like him and he's pretty cool with Steph Curry and stuff like that. So
did he talk about that on our show? Because I know he did at the big presser.
He it may have been where it was.
Yeah, it was the big presser.
It was the big presser, but it's not a disrespect. I think what he's saying is the idea that you can just throw it around in today's football. Like, he probably needs to break that comment down a little bit more.
Yeah, there needs to be more nuance.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to explain stuff in a text message. Like, I didn't say this. Like,
I got Klay Thompson, my former Coug, tweeting me being like, "What's up with your man, Rand?" I'm just joking.
Yeah,
no.
But,
man, I was just gonna be like, why hasn't he been on the show?
I know, right? I wish I could get the big Klay on there.
Clay's secret stuff.
But yeah, I think at some point, and you know what? He don't owe anybody any explanation. So he said what he said. He could have that approach too.
So more on that coming up as well. Last night in Knoxville, good win for Tennessee over Arkansas. Comes at a big cost, though. If you missed it last night, with Sakai Ziegler suffering a non-contact knee injury. We don't have any updates on him yet this morning, but Rick Barnes did say after the game last night, as tough as that guy is, we knew that if he is down, he is injured. So hoping for good news on him, but does not look great for his short-term future with this team over the rest of the season. And really, honestly, put a sour note on a really good win.
Yeah,
75-57 on an Arkansas team that was starting to figure things out with Nick Smith, future lottery pick, back healthy again. the really big positive from this game, guys, is the fact that I actually think Tennessee, through its past struggles over the last few weeks, evolved and came out of that a little bit better. And I'm interested to see if it'll continue at Auburn this weekend, because that's a tough place to play, even if that Auburn team isn't as good this year. Tennessee outscored Arkansas in the paint 42-18.
Dang.
And didn't shoot the three particularly well, was only 25% from three. Arkansas shot 36% from behind the arc, and they won this game by 18 points.
Yeah. To me, I've seen this happen with teams, suffer from their star player having an injury and they get better. And I think that's because some people play the backseat because somebody else is there. Oh, man, he got it. He going to lead us, or I'll wait till he goes. Now, there's no excuse for it. And almost to a sense, it's okay for whoever is going to be next to step up to be selfish in this role, too. Like, Zakai's role is he's the man. He came in as a freshman and really set the tone for his attitude on the court. And now you got a group of guys that got to replace his attitude, the way he plays, his hustle, his affinity to try to get his teammates involved. Like, that's the portion of this team I think was necessary. It's addition by subtraction. And I hate to even use him in that type of sense, because when I saw the non-contact Kayla.
Oh, I know. I hate seeing that.
It was a pivot outside his body that did it, and I was just like, yep.
Just went down that quick.
Yeah.
And I think Marty Smith was on the sideline last night, and I heard him talking about, after the injury, he was talking about how he was talking to Double Z before the game, and how Zakai was like, I've been through so much adversity in my life, off the court. And on the court, I just feel like I can always just overcome anything. And unfortunately, then this happens, and it's going to be another test for Zakai in his career. And you know what? Sometimes, as crappy as it is, it makes us a little bit tougher, a little bit stronger in the end. Not like he's not been through anything already, but it also may kind of light a fire under this team. They're going to take on a little bit more of the identity of Double Z since he's not going to be there. Sometimes you have to turn good into, or bad into good. Maybe that's what get out of it.
It is.
What comes out of it.
My personal experience, I got better when our all-pro center was out. And
really?
I know I did. Because I had to elevate my senses.
Is that Aaron Sears?
No, Marquise Pouncey.
Oh, you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't really lose guys in like college.
Yeah,
most of us stayed pretty healthy.
Right.
But I got better when we lost a guy, or I had a rookie beside me, because I was like, I gotta step it up. You got to do a little bit more without going outside of yourself, and I'm hoping we see that from Vescovy. I'm hoping I'm seeing that from Phillips. You know what I'm saying?
Jonas Adu.
Adu, yeah.
It's going to force him. Like, right now, the young guys can't sit back anymore. Like, if you want to position yourself for next year and in this tournament, what better time? Like, and I hate this happened to Zakai, because you missing a shooter, but now somebody's got to step up. And like I said, I got better when guys went out like that. And
Jemai Mashak was the guy that stepped into Ziegler's absent spot at point guard. Jemai Mashak's never played point guard. He had 5 assists, 6 points, 4 steals. That's perfect.
Not bad.
It reminded me, I don't know if you'll remember this, it reminded me of when J.P. Prince had to play point guard for Tennessee basketball under Bruce Pearl. That would have been in 2007 or 2008.
If I'm not mistaken.
When Tennessee didn't really have a true point guard at that point. Ramar Smith was gone. Chris Lofton, Juwan Smith were still there. But Tennessee has had a curse for a long time of not having a true point guard. There have not been many. Kennedy Chandler was a true point guard. But you even go back to a lot of combo guys that were made into point guards, like Kevin Punter, not really a point guard. Trey Golden, not really a point guard. Even, you had Barton back in the day with Konzo Martin when he was there, and Tennessee made a run on a foul call that shouldn't have been called on Jarnell Stokes as a charge at the Sweet 16 against Michigan. I'm not bitter. You didn't have a true point guard of that team. So, in a lot of ways, Santiago Vescovy was never really a true point guard. But I like Jemai Mashak beating guys off the dribble and then kicking it out. Or throwing it down low to the big guys. I feel like Tennessee is starting to get some of its confidence back on the inside of that offense. that they haven't had since Grant Williams was there.
Yeah.
There has not been a guy on the low block you can throw it down to who can get a bucket consistently, because John Fulkerson did it, but not consistently over the course of his whole career. Tennessee is at its best under Rick Barnes when you can throw it down to a big dude and either kick it back out or that guy goes up strong, they get a rebound, get fouled, or any of that happens. But I think Tobe Awaka and Jonas Adu have completely changed this basketball team's outlook through what's happened over the past couple of weeks.
For me to take a page out of Rand Carthon's and Mike Vrabel's book, though, sometimes you might need to bang a little bit with the big guys,
right?
And not, and I think that's something that they can grow from when it comes down to this team. As far as like where your points gonna come from, you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is the biggest deciding factor for this team as of late. Zakai would like drive,
right?
And then where is he going? Well, now you got to go through the paint.
To be fair, though, by the way, true point guards don't really grow on trees.
No.
Like getting a Zakai is a luxury in and of itself.
Yeah, 100%.
Coming up next, we dive into the details on Tennessee's NCAA reports, what is coming for a pair of assistants, and good news from ESPN's Chris Lowe about a potential deal being made behind closed doors in Knoxville. We'll discuss that coming up next. We'll get back to the NFL headlines coming out of the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Sound from Mike Vrabel that gives us more insight on what this team is looking for this offseason. And a previous discussion that we've had earlier this week that Rand Carthon had himself, specifically with Jim Wyatt up there in Indianapolis. That's coming up next as we go rapid fire around the headlines in Indianapolis and in Knoxville. On the other side of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. It may be cold outside, but that doesn't mean you have to take a cold shower. Whatever the weather is outside, in Middle Tennessee, it can change at a moment's notice. Lee Company is going to offer you a great deal. It's what they do here at Lee Company. They're going to offer you $500 off or special financing on tankless water heaters this month. That's right, endless hot water at your fingertips that saves energy, money, time, and space. The deal again, $500 off or special financing on tankless water heaters this month. Don't miss out on this great deal. Just give Lee Company a call at 615-567-1000 and do what I do. Trust the folks who have been trusted in this community for nearly 80 years. That's Lee Company on the phones at 615-567-1000. They're online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. First of the month on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here at 104.5 The Zone. Happy March.
Oh, shoot, it's the first? Dang.
We sleep in May.
Yeah.
Or never.
Y'all, Kayla's had family and friends in town.
Yeah, it is not a good 2 weeks for me.
It has been full tilt.
All the hoods love us like the 15th and the 1st.
Oh, God.
That's all that I'm going to say of that song.
Kayla is really, you trying to reshake. You trying to shake back, huh?
I can't keep up with the kids. Even the kids my age, I can't keep up with.
Look at Will saluting himself. You did that with the left hand, too, by the way.
Well,
He's
this hand has
ambidextrous.
the microphone.
Okay,
I don't want to have to move the mic.
He's
I don't use
ambidextrous.
the
Even
stick
still,
mic like Buck
naturally,
does.
I'm going to go right-handed with that. You went left because you right-left. What motion is
You're
that? You
right,
shoot
left?
No, you right. Yeah,
I
he
shoot
right.
left.
You're right.
You shoot
left.
I
left.
dribble with my right hand. I shoot with my left hand.
Such a complex dude out here, man.
Again, these are things that we will
Oh,
cover this summer when you guys just dive into my brain for better or worse.
Although we
Usually
did,
for worse.
we did get a recommendation on the show to have Will take a particular shot.
Who was that
in
from?
his coffee? I don't know, some really good News 2 reporter.
Oh,
Her name's Peyton, I
my
believe.
favorite reporter in Asheville. Actually.
Shot.
Shot, 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 shot. Everybody, shot, 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 shot. Everybody, shot, 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 shot.
It's
Everybody!
7:23 in the morning. 7:23.
When does that ever
Well, if
matter?
you're not
she said,
awake,
pour
you're awake
you
now.
a couple shots. We're going to pour you three.
Peyton responded to us on Twitter and said, "Pour some tequila in Will's coffee for me, please."
Y'all want to know something that's so
You will
crazy?
let her do no such thing.
Yes, we will, Will.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, you're going to learn quick on this show, okay? Happy
I'm
boo
already
thing,
outnumbered.
Happy you thing. You understand me, man?
Whatever.
You got me? All right. With that being said, that look. Yeah.
Everybody,
I was waiting on Shane to
let's
find
go.
it.
It's not really Friday, but you would think it was if you're listening to our show. RK Dub.
Get him, Kayla.
Just sit back and enjoy
I
it.
can't
Love
believe
it.
what she started
Love
today on this show now.
Nah, no doubt about it.
Because Jonathan Schaefer will now tweet like waving emojis at Peyton.
I'm just being friendly.
That's
Gets
true.
the people
He's
going.
being an instigator like
I
Big
actually
Mo.
Oh, man.
didn't do anything wrong this time.
This time,
This time.
the day is young.
I'm just saying good morning.
That's all he doing.
Friend of the show. Today was a bear gif, just waving. Not even cocaine bear, just normal bear.
Oh, God. By the way,
Waving.
UCLA put a scary photo
Yeah,
of
they did.
oof,
The cocaine bear?
cocaine bear. I was like freaked out.
Well, yeah, UCLA put out a video or a picture of their old, or somebody put out a picture of
Their old
UCLA's
mascot.
old mascot. And it's creepier than what the old Commodore
I
mascot
gotta
looked
see
like.
this.
Y'all, it is
Like Vanderbilt's
freaky.
Mr. C was never this creepy looking.
And
that's
Mr.
saying
C was
something.
creepy.
Really was.
Oh, that UCLA bear was.
Yes, he was.
wow.
You know that happened
That
in
was a real
Knoxville
thing?
too. Cocaine Bear is a true
I
story.
did read
We
that.
talked about
From
that on
East
the
Tennessee.
show.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't that dramatic. They Hollywooded up, but it happened.
Again,
Yeah.
inspired by. So
Okay.
much of what
Oh.
happened in the movie didn't actually happen.
So what do you? I gotta
But
look up this
the
UCLA
fact
thing?
Yeah, I
that
do.
a bear
Yeah.
was snorting coke
Commented on it.
did happen.
You know
That's
what's
right.
crazy is the fact that they named this movie this, and I didn't even know we could use that drug name on this show. And here we are saying Cocaine Bear, man.
Well, why can't you say
I
it?
mean, I didn't know.
We're not-
Sometimes I don't know what I can and can't
We're
say on
not
this show.
talking
You
about
understand me?
using it. We're not saying that.
That's fair.
It's just the name of a movie.
Just the name of the
I mean,
movie.
I never claimed to have a J by my name, so I'm out here just like.
You admit,
Jaron?
There's
I
only
listen-
one person.
No,
with a
I just
capitalized
listen to what
J.
Shafe's like. Hey, Mom, we can't say that. You know,
I don't do that very often, bro.
No, not anymore.
No.
Not anymore.
Well, you were well, it was
No,
different
it was
times
different.
back then.
It was different times back then.
By the way, we have an update on Slay. He got to, where is he? Tupelo?
Tupelo.
Tupelo, Mississippi.
He has made it to Tupelo. Now he's got to catch his
Mississippi.
flight.
Oh, goodness.
It's
Well,
like
he
an
just tweeted
adventure.
a minute ago a picture of the plane. He's good.
All right, we're good.
Is that
He said, "Well,
Congratulations.
ladies and gentlemen, I made it. Like the young people say, the
Come
state
on, man.
He said, the state of Mississippi owes me nothing. Thanks for the hospitality state. I'm out. Hashtag big guy on a little plane. And it is holy crap, that's a really little plane. Wow.
Okay, that's scary. I don't want to look at it. Nope. Nope.
Hey,
Like Ramon, we can say this.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I mean, we can say that.
Wow.
now we got people naming the sequel to Cocaine Bear in the Zone chat on YouTube if y'all are watching us. I don't know if I can say this on there.
Can we vote on the creepiest
Alonzo.
mascot?
Creepiest
I'll
mascot?
take
Easy.
Because
Philadelphia.
the Purdue
No.
Boilermaker is creepy too.
The Friar at Providence. The Providence Fryer. They literally have a fryer with like googly eyes. Yes.
Stop.
Between
Oh.
that
Air
and then
fryer?
the New Orleans Pelicans has a king cake baby.
Oh, I've seen the king
that
cake
is a
baby.
6-foot-tall baby.
Terrifying.
Oh my god!
That
It reminds
looks
me of like
looks
Chucky.
like the Chucky
Y'all
doll.
are
Yeah.
crazy.
Because
Stop.
there was a
That's
poll of this like
right.
a couple years ago of like it was I think it was probably a Barstool article of the creepiest mascots.
Oof.
The Providence Fryer, I promise you, is number 1 in college sports, and that is the case because Vanderbilt changed their Mr. C mascot.
Right.
It's not as bad as it used to be.
Sometimes it's in the eyes.
It used to be
It's
really
in the
bad.
eyes of the mascot.
That's why I thought the Philly. What is? I thought that's why the Philly orange looking thing is so like
Gritty?
Oh, Gritty's just a
Gritty is
goof.
fantastic. Gritty
Gritty's
is a
just
king.
if you're scared of Gritty, Moan,
Oh,
like
Gritty's great.
You said ugly. That thing
No,
is
I
ugly.
said
LSD eyes.
scary.
What are we
Scary?
talking about here?
creepiest.
creepy. I think it's creepy as hell.
Gritty's creepy.
Man, the way he be shaking that belly.
Yo,
and
I'm
them
calling up
eyes
Gritty and
rolling.
telling on you.
That thing ugly.
Well, I said creepy.
Yeah, about Shafe said I could say it. The sequel to Cocaine Bear, Fentanyl Bear.
Oh God.
So-
What in the world?
How do we get off the rails this
I
early?
don't know, man. That's just not a joking matter in today's society.
No, it's not.
That's no.
I mean, we
No.
got a movie
No,
named
no.
it, man.
Just
If
because
it-
it's in the chat does not mean
I
it
got the
needs to be
green-
read
oh,
on
I
this
got the
show.
green light, well.
By the way, if
We
it's
gotta-
fentanyl bear, it's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
No, I don't
now,
wanna,
there you go.
I don't like this.
Ramon is being
We're
silenced.
down with it, Dan.
We
All
need
right,
to
say
close
less.
the chat more in this room.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm not. That was not a joke. We need to close the chat more.
He's dead serious,
In
y'all.
this
I
room.
know he's serious,
The amount of people
man.
that come in the studio and are like, "Hey, producer, get the chat on here." Anyway,
You can chat with us if you'd like.
You can
YouTube,
chat. Tweet.
Twitch, Twitter.
Yeah, we're everywhere out
Join
I
here.
in.
have nothing against the people in the chat. We need to.
Join
You know
in.
what, Will?
We keep
Per your
moving.
requests, I bow out.
Tennessee learned more about its NCAA violations.
Sheesh.
Goodness sakes.
Yeah.
The
Four
damage is
former
done.
Tennessee staff members under Jeremy Pruitt have received show cause penalties in the NCAA case. The NCAA announced the penalties but did not release the names of the staff members. Ross Dellinger of SI.com reported that it was Brian Niedermeyer, outside linebackers coach Shelton Felton, which is still just an amazing name. Director of player personnel Drew Hughes, who's now with the Jacksonville Jaguars, actually, which I learned yesterday. And student assistant Michael Magnus.
Jeremy Pruitt's a lump.
That too. The NCAA announced that they were given show cause penalties between 3 and 5 years. About what we expected, I think.
Yeah.
Jeremy Pruitt, assistant Derek Ansley, now the defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers, which is still crazy to me.
Crazy.
And 2 more staff members have not settled their portions of the case yet, which includes allegations of 18 level 1 violations. Chris Lowe continued his report on ESPN.com with the fact that Tennessee is still contesting the 18th and final violation, which was failure to control. That is the biggest
Goodness.
thing levied against Tennessee at this point.
Yeah.
Sources told Chris Lowe that university officials continue to have positive discussions with the NCAA about a negotiated resolution to the case, which confirms what Ben McKee told us last fall, that a postseason ban is not on the table for Tennessee football. Because I don't think Tennessee in a negotiated case could ever possibly agree to that. It sounds from what I'm reading between the lines here, guys, that Tennessee is close to coming to a resolution that will essentially say the penalties we've already given ourselves are pretty much enough.
Yeah.
So let's add perhaps one small more thing to this table that we've already created against ourselves and go on from there.
And the other portion of it is, too, is like, who are you actually affecting? You know,
Right.
it's the current players that are there. And I know the university has something to do with it, so the university got to, have some type of punishment. But I look at it and say, like, it would suck to see where we are right now as a university. And this is my fan hat coming on right now. To see where we are right now and just get bowl banned for like 2 years or even a year when those kids that stayed around had nothing to do with university at this point. You know what I'm saying? As far as who was there and who was not there. So
Yeah.
that sucks right there if they do decide to do something to the
I don't
university.
think they will.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, maybe something minor, but they've kind of gotten all the bad seeds out.
Yeah.
And they did pretty quick. And my goodness, Jeremy Pruitt, if anyone's going to leave a stain that's going to stay there for a while, it's not going to have an effect, I think, long term. But, it's just like you always come back to that dude's name.
Jeremy Pruitt's a lump.
What's so interesting with me, 3 to 5 years for coaches, that's a good bit of time.
How long was Pearl's?
I want to say it was 5.
It was a bit.
It was a while.
Really was.
I know Donnie got fired by Tennessee. I know that for a fact because he went to the G League after he had a short pro wrestling stint, which is in my case, in my opinion, none of it's good. But he went to fifth tier out of a back warehouse somewhere in like Kentucky level pro wrestling. Like they all have 3-letter acronyms, and it was one you would have never heard of.
WTF?
Pretty
right?
much.
But I feel like with Bruce Pearl, like we knew like that's a good coach.
3 years.
With Jeremy Pruitt,
Bruce's was 3 years.
What is he? Like Bruce
Jeremy
was
Pruitt?
3?
No, Bruce was 3 years. I know Donnie's was. I don't even have to look that one up. But Donnie's was 10.
Moan, we already answered that question.
Jeremy Pruitt's a lump.
Even on TV, I guess there's no place for him. Like
TV?
that's the thing about like Bruce.
TV.
Like
What?
only reason I say TV because Bruce went to TV.
Yeah.
Bruce is like a personality. Jeremy Pruitt's a lump.
Well, Jeremy actually does do like a weekly interview, I think, in Birmingham.
I feel sorry for them.
Oh, it's Alabama where he's held as a guard.
Well, guys, I think
No.
Tennessee and I think Jarrett did a good job. Okay, and he got his bell rung there,
I could not
but we'll
handle
see
listening to
what
that dude.
he's gonna be like at practice.
Who's that
and
character from South Park? Okay.
Drugs are bad. Cocaine.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
The weird teacher.
Okay.
Okay. I used to love
The good
that
thing
show.
ability of the 8 of the 18 responses, Tennessee is arguing, quote, should rest overwhelmingly with the individuals and not operated in what is now a new approach from the NCAA. So former assistants are able to begin serving their penalties now, while Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt continue to try to reach an agreement with the NCAA and contest their case. So this is the first example, the reason why this story is significant, of the NCAA changing its process in weighing penalties against teams that have broken rules.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've tangibly seen. In the past, everyone, even if parts of it were still being contested and parts of it weren't, everyone now doesn't have to get the same fate at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to separate the penalties that Shelton Felton and Brian Niedermeyer have as they coach high school football in Georgia and Florida, respectively, now from Jeremy Pruitt and Tennessee, who feels like they can reach a resolution here.
Which I don't know if I have an issue with that, but I just hate that side of it too because where they are coaching, it's like high recruits that they
Valdosta
probably
in Georgia and IMG Academy in Florida.
It's the
That's what
IMG
Brian-
Who's
one
at
that bothers
IMG?
me a little.
Brian Niedermeyer.
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 He's a head
Is that-
coach, isn't he?
No, I don't
No, he's
think-
a
heck
defensive
no.
coordinator.
Yeah. That's the portion of it that gets sticky to me. But we know how that web of coaches and stuff like that works. So maybe Heupel and his staff are at a good place with the IMG
Yeah.
Defensive coordinator.
side of it that allows them to be able to get recruits because that's what college ball is too. That's the reason they're in trouble is recruiting.
So it's interesting. I mean, there are a lot of Pruitt assistants who have, gotten other coaching jobs.
Was he the portion? Was he?
He was the problem.
That's what I was gonna say. Like he was way ahead of himself.
That staff was good. Like that was objectively a good staff. Derek Ansley is the defensive coordinator of an NFL team.
So,
yeah, that's
Chris
true.
Winkie,
yeah.
decent quarterbacks coach.
Oh,
Jim Chaney, Tyson
Yeah.
Helton is
All
scoring
went and got
points,
jobs.
scoring points for fun at Western Kentucky.
And then Pruitt was the head coach.
and Pruitt was the head coach.
Except Pruitt was the type that all the stories we hear, Pruitt would tell Chaney in the middle of an Auburn game on a certain pick six,
Yeah.
hey, run this play.
Yeah.
Or Georgia.
And Jim would tell him, hey, we haven't practiced this. Yeah, there's the South Park character.
The portion,
And then he
that-
would say, no, run it anyway. And then Tennessee threw a pick six against Auburn.
the portion that bothers him is actually going to happen.
I mean-
is that a fine? Do they fine college?
Well, the proactive, all-out
Yes.
assault that UT chose to do when it came to Pruitt and all of this stuff, this is where it's going to help them out, is going to be the rulings against the school for lack of institutional control.
Exactly.
Is that they will make the suggestion, well, we regained that institutional control very quickly.
And they did.
Yep.
If reports are coming out that they are close to reaching an agreement with the NCAA, it means that there aren't going to be any more major penalties against the school. There is no postseason ban. Like, I know that's always where fans want to go first.
Yeah.
It's just ask the question like, okay, are we going to get a bowl ban? That is not. I would be absolutely, totally shocked.
The real question is if they ban them, who gonna fill it? Because there's so many bowls now. You just need teams to fill
right.
them.
It's not the way the NCAA does business anymore. The way they used to.
They never even did business. So
well, I saw yesterday Stuart Mandel, longtime college football national writer, put on Twitter and said, to close out his career now, Mark Emmert is finishing up his 12 years with the NCAA officially, I think today, and said, here's a list of his achievements. And then there was nothing. And then he just said, end of tweet.
It was great.
Oh, my gosh. It's like, good Lord.
Wow. To quote Kelso from that 70s show, burn!
I mean, I was like, man, okay. Go on, Stuart. Are y'all doing the thing again where you're in the chat not listening to me?
I was reading something about losing institutional control.
Unbelievable.
I legitimately have something right here.
I lost institutional control of the show because you're out here reading articles.
I'm about to say something that's very important to what we have going on. Speaking of NILs and institutional control, and what I'm saying is this: a violation too. A year placed on probation for a year because their coaches inadvertently help arrange impermissible contact with boosters
and
coach? 2 players. Their women's basketball coach. And I'm just looking like I didn't know the NCAA, to your point about how they're governing, was at a point to where they could give violations for NIL right now.
They can't.
And that's why I was going, as like institutional control. So it's probation for Miami in a situation of losing control, basically.
There's no point really in even like diving into what the NCAA is saying, because what they're saying is, we're not going to pop you every time, but don't push us, was the exact quote from an NCAA lawyer. Mm-hmm. Because schools are just going to say, okay, we'll see you in court if you try to punish us for these collectives giving high schoolers deals and getting them just going to say, okay, we'll see you in court. Essentially, that is what schools and NIL have started to do.
It was.
If I'd given you a Happy Meal, you would have listened to me more.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Are you talking to me?
Because he's a bag. It was a bag.
Oh, it was a
Happy Meal.
Oh. But it was for those viral girls, Haley and Hannah Cavender. I'm still gonna tell my story. They are, because they got a bunch of NIL stuff themselves.
Yeah.
You know what? That's my last time being a journalist on this piece. Screw this.
Thank you.
I'm done. I'm going back to Hood Ratchet out here. Okay, y'all.
I like that.
I mean, that's what we pay you for.
That's what we're going.
Why are you going off brand? That was wrong with you.
I know that was what's wrong right there.
He's like, wait. I have some important information right here.
An important news bulletin.
Article on my laptop right now. Alabama man accused of keeping meth fuel attack squirrel in his cage. That's what I'm reading right now. There we go. Now I'm back.
Because the chat pointed you in that direction.
That's got to be racist.
By the way, Alabama of all places, play that again, Schaefer. That's got to be racist.
That's got to be racist.
The exact tweet from Stuart Mandel was, today is Mark Emmert's last day as NCAA president.
Thank goodness.
Let's take a moment to highlight his accomplishments over the last 12 years.
None of those.
Skip line. Congrats. 615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up next. Oh, my goodness.
And we're back.
We'll see what other movies we can review with Ramon Foster. And take a look at what Mike Vrabel had to say yesterday at the Combine. Coming up, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers Forward. Listen to me. I'm going back to the 80s real quick. Yes, I'm an 80s baby, but listen to me real quick on this one. In 1983, to be exact, when Michael Jackson was topping the charts, when parachute pants were in style, and when people listened to music on cassettes. Yes, 1983, the year that Two Rivers Forward was born. It's their 40th anniversary, and as a local business right here in Middle Tennessee, Two Rivers has always been a big part of our community. They've been big on the part of 104.5 The Zone, a big part of local sports, and a big part of local charities. Two Rivers 4 always steps up to do whatever this community needs. If you're from Nashville, you already know this, but if you're new to town, I'm going to tell you what Two Rivers Forward is all about. They've been doing business with honesty and integrity for 40 years. What you see is what you get. They are transparent and upfront, and they have non-commissioned salespeople, so they never pressured their customers into buying. They always have great prices. They always sell below MSRP on all their non-specialty new Fords. They make car buying easy, whether you are ordering a vehicle, shopping on the lot, or shopping online. They do business however you want to do business. Two Rivers Ford has asked me to make sure to say thank you to all their customers and to this community for 40 great years. They've loved every minute of this ride. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Wednesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And coming up in about 10 minutes, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy, will join us. Get his thoughts on a number of prospects whose stock is rising the most. We're going to talk left tackles with Ramon Foster as well in hour 3. And there's one tackle specifically who might not be a first-round pick, but is going to be an intriguing prospect to watch over the next couple of days. We'll get Jim's thoughts on him coming up at 8 o'clock. Wanted to get to an interesting discussion from Mike Vrabel and sound from the Combine yesterday, talking about the profile of players he is told Rand to look for at the NFL Combine and in the NFL Draft. And again, guys, he brings up speed in what he had to say.
Open to adding great players to our roster, whether that's at quarterback, that's at running back, that's at defensive line, corner. I do believe that we have, we've got some needs and some holes. I've told you that. I've asked them to look for players that have an element of speed, violence, and versatility, and that's what I want to look for. Look for offensive linemen that can protect the quarterback. Whether that's Bryan, whether that's Malik, that's Josh Dobbs, whoever that may end up being. Those are things that we have to do a better job at.
So there's Mike Vrabel yesterday, specifically raising a point, Ramon, that I want to break down with you just at left tackle.
Yeah.
Between the top 3 guys we're going to break down in hour 3, but I would almost rather the Titans get a pass-blocking left tackle who is better as a pass blocker than he is a run blocker. And I would imagine that Mike Vrabel might agree with me on that at this point after what he just watched this team go through last year.
I got a really good breakdown of these 3 guys that really breaks down what they do best, what they need to work on. The one that I think is most athletic got the most deficiencies.
Really?
And I have to break that down to you.
There's a tease right there.
I have a guess of who that is.
I'd love to hear who you think it is.
I'll go ahead and guess now.
Who?
Broderick Jones?
No.
Oh, so it's Paris Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because everything I've read has said that Skronsky from Northwestern is the most NFL ready right now tackle, but that Paris Johnson has the highest ceiling and that Broderick Jones is the most athletic.
Highest ceiling might actually go. See, this is the thing, and I hate to even do this to him, just a little insight to it. I actually think, in my notes I wrote down, he can be a really good left tackle, Broderick Jones, or an all-pro guard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. He's a big dude.
And what about the alligator arms on Peter?
On
Is that
Peter,
a thing?
not really, because his footwork is so good.
Well, I've seen that be something that people are like, oh, stay away.
To that analysis from Will about like ready to go, like right now, his footwork is so good. Watching him against Aiden Hutchinson last year was more or less like, okay, I see where you need some work, but his arms got him because Aiden Hutchinson arms are long.
Long.
But his hips, as far as Peter Skronsky,
yeah. Northwestern guy, by the way. Coming out of
it's
Northwestern.
like Skronsky has the better feet and Paris Johnson has the better hands. Out of the two is what I read.
We'll break it down, but
we're going to break it down.
All day.
I think y'all appreciate where I'm going with this because this is the best thing about the Titans have an opportunity to get one of them. Or to that point, too, about protection, Osiris Torrance got to be mentioned. And I got to ask Nagy that, too. Like, why isn't he mentioned like Quentin Nelson? And I think it might be because of his weight. You don't know what his weight's going to be or look like.
Based on a conversation we had in Mobile, I was looking at mock drafts from Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com, NFL Network. Darnell Wright, he has number 17 of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Dang. Look at that.
No,
Weren't they asking about Darnell to you?
They were.
If Pittsburgh wants another Tennessee offensive lineman, because the last one worked out pretty well.
Wait a minute. So, like how Bud came to Nashville because of Ramon, Darnell's going to go to Pittsburgh because of Ramon.
I had to be truthful with him, too, because my vouch can't be bad. Like,
What else can we put in the universe to get in Nashville?
You want a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, we need to use our powers for good. I really want I don't know.
A Patrick.
I want a Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
Oh.
That name has been circulating here a lot, though.
Yes, it has.
Well, why wouldn't it be?
And coming up next, we'll discuss that name and many more with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl. As he reflects on the week in Mobile, who are the guys he is hearing about the most from people around the NFL as the NFL Combine begins this week in Indianapolis? We go to the phones and to Jim Nagy. Coming up next on Ramon, Kale, and Will at halftime on 104.5 The Zone.
Finding value is important all the time, but especially these days. And that's why I'm so confident in recommending Genesis Diamonds, because value is the core principle that Genesis was founded on. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler who used to sell diamonds to upscale jewelry stores, but he hated how much they marked up their prices when they sold them to their customers. So he cut them out, and he started selling direct to the public at fair and honest prices that eliminated the traditionally fat retail profit margins. That direct importer advantage still applies at Genesis Diamonds, and that's why they beat everyone else's prices on GIA certified diamonds. But it's more than just a price. At Genesis, you'll get a higher quality diamond with the best cut for maximum brilliance. No commission salespeople, a personal, relaxed shopping experience, free service for life on any purchase also. You also get the best rings money can buy from the top designers in America. These are handcrafted, American-made rings from the most sought-after designers, names like Tacori and Verragio, and many more. So this year, as you think about getting engaged or celebrating a milestone of any kind, remember Genesis Diamonds. Best selection, highest quality, guaranteed best value, and a locally owned company with amazing international connection. Genesis Diamonds, located Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Straight up 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The NFL Scouting Combine began yesterday at Indianapolis. Titans GM ran Carthon, head coach Mike Vrabel, and offensive coordinator Tim Kelly all spoke to the media. Carthon spoke about the quarterback in Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan is under contract. I know you guys, I just want to speak freely for a moment. I know everybody wants to make a big deal, out of the quarterback position and whether he will or won't be here. But you guys just have to accept the fact that Ryan is under contract, for us. And right now he's a Titan and he will be a Titan.
Titans radio executive producer Rhett Bryan will join us from the Combine an hour from now. The Predators traded defenseman Mattias Ekholm to the Edmonton Oilers for defenseman Tyson Barrie, prospect Reed Schaefer, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. On the ice at Bridgestone Arena last night, Penguins beat the Predators 3-1. Pittsburgh scored 3 goals in the final period for the win. Grizz over the Lake Show, 121-109 in Grind City. John Morant, 39 points, 10 boards, and 10 assists. College basketball, number 12 Tennessee defeated Arkansas 75-57 on senior night. Though Zakai Ziegler left the game with an apparent leg injury. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3 beginning this morning in beautiful Music City. A beautiful day in Middle Tennessee. On Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, as we go to the phone lines and go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, continuing the NFL Combine discussion with our friend Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. What's going on, Jim? How are you?
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Kayla and Ramon.
Good morning.
Jim, as you reflect back on the Senior Bowl week and continue to hear from people around the league leading up to the Combine and the draft, just curious, who are some of the guys whose stock has risen the most? Who are you hearing the most about as festivities begin in Indianapolis this week?
Yeah, I got to say, this is like the most enjoyable time of the year for me. And just watch the tape and everything's done. I'm not running around like when I saw you guys down here in Mobile. I would say probably the offense, if we're just going to talk about a group of players, it's probably the offensive line class. And I read a lot of things throughout the fall and even leading into the draft process now that this isn't a great offensive line class. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think coming out of the week, we've got 5 or 6 guys that have a good chance of being first-round draft picks. I liked our defensive line crew. I liked our edge crew. But that offensive line group handled them all week.
Mm-hmm.
They really, really played well. And then, Kayla, I'll throw one at you. Your guy, Deion Henley from Wazoo, had a ridiculous week, both in coverage against the run, in pass, as a blitzer. That guy's going to be a heck of an NFL linebacker.
Man, Jim, that's awesome. And that's what that game is all about. I didn't know much about Deion at the time, and I'm just looking at him like, okay, this is why you set up this game, right? This is why you continue to pour into it. As I look on your website, you already got the start time for next year already on the website, Jim.
Yeah, that's not. I need to get that taken down. That just gives me anxiety every time. That's why I don't log on to our website very much because I don't need to look at that countdown clock.
With that being said, man, about that, I was just telling them as we're going to talk about some tackles here in a minute. I feel better about this year's group than I did about all of last year's group, about what I saw at the Senior Bowl, man. You got to know when you have a hot group coming in. You knew they were going to be like this year?
We had high grades. We had a bunch of day 2 grades, and we had a couple first round grades. But no, across the board, they all performed. John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota, was a guy that showed up better than I thought. And that happens every year. There's a bunch of guys that show up and you get through the tape, you're like, man, this guy's better than I gave him credit for. John Michael Schmitz is one of those guys. He's one of those guys that I think has the potential to be a first-round pick, and I say that because I do think he's the consensus top center in this draft, and those guys usually go in the 20s. So he showed up really well. That tackle group, man, I mean, you talk about, and some of them might end up as guards. We'll see. I think most teams that draft these guys will start them at tackle, and we'll see where they end up. If they're not tackles, they're going to be Pro Bowl level guards. But like Cody Mauch from North Dakota State, Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse, Jalen Duncan is a pure left tackle, made it look easy against some really good players. Like for whatever reason, sometimes you get into Senior Bowl week and these guys get matched up in one-on-ones against each other. It seems like every rep. Going back to like the Aaron Donald year, Aaron Donald and Zach Martin took like every single rep. You had like Hall of Famer against Hall of Famer. They took every rep. And for whatever reason, Jalen Duncan and Keon White from Georgia Tech, the really good defensive lineman who's going to be a top 20 pick. Man, Jalen Duncan made it look easy, especially on the left side. He looked much better on the left side, more natural. And that happens sometimes when you flop guys over on the right side when they haven't played over there. They look a little more – they don't look as comfortable. But yeah, those are just a few names. Like if you need immediate offensive line help, there's plenty of guys in that top 100 range this year that can come in and be day one starters.
With you going to the combine, one question I have for you: you ever seen a guy at the Senior Bowl and like transform their body somewhat going into like the measurements aspect of the combine? Does that happen often?
I don't know about transform their bodies. You do see guys put on weight. Like you typically see guys show up at Indy 8 to 10 pounds heavier maybe than Mobile in a month. And that's pretty good weight. And sometimes it's water weight, as you know. Sometimes you see those guys with their gallon jug of water trying to chug water before weigh-ins. But no, I mean, in terms of like drastic body composition stuff, not really, but you do see guys pack on weight.
When it comes to the combine, it's a little bit different than the Senior Bowl, obviously. I would say the Senior Bowl, and you can, argue if this is any different, but the conversation is a little bit more laid back. I know guys that I've talked to who are currently in the NFL say the combine's a little bit more tough for them in terms of the conversations they're having with teams, the questions they're being asked. But it's also a lot about measurements, Jim, and just, I guess, for us who are watching it, but you who are there, just how much hype really gets around the 40 times and all these things for some of those positions like wide receivers, running backs, et cetera?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say the two positions that really stand out across the league where 40 times are really critical, where GMs really place a huge emphasis, are cornerback and wide receiver.
Yeah.
Those perimeter skill guys, and we've tried to stay really mindful of that in our Senior Bowl roster selection process too. If a guy's going to run, high 4.5s into the 4.6s, we tend to stay away from those guys. And again, you have like historically trusted sources at schools. Like there was a wide receiver that we didn't invite to the Senior Bowl this year that if you go on social media, I mean, I see some stuff where he's going to be a day 2 wide receiver. Well, we didn't invite him because there's a strength coach at that school that has been really, really accurate with 40 times over the years.
Wow.
And he's been telling us he's going to run 4.65. We had a receiver that we did invite to the game a couple of years ago that he was telling us was going to run high 4.6s, and I brought him anyway, and the guy went undrafted. So I would say 40-yard dash there are certain positions where it's not all that important. I think running back 40-yard dash times are really overrated.
Yeah.
When I was working for the Seahawks before I took this job, we did an extensive study on 40 times in what times were for really good Pro Bowl level running backs coming out, and there was a lot of 4.6s and 4.7s in that group. But yeah, if you're looking at where it's important, I would say those perimeter guys, wideouts, in corners.
So there's always talk here in Tennessee, and especially now, new GM Ran Carthon, coming in and maybe changing some things starting this year. And there's been talk of even Derrick Henry. Like, could Derrick Henry possibly be traded? Because this year's running backs class is pretty stacked as well. Like, who sticks out to you? You've seen some of them at the Senior Bowl, but you've got some more guys there at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, I'll say this, like, you got to be careful
Okay.
If you're looking to move on from a Derrick Henry, because there are great backs. There are great backs in this draft, and I do think it's a really deep running back draft. I mean, you look at last year, the Houston Texans got Dameon Pierce in the 4th round, and the guy was on pace to run for like 1,200 yards until he got hurt late in the year. Still had a phenomenal rookie year for a bad football team. So you can find a replacement. You can plug in a guy that can play running back and be productive, but Derrick's unique in the sense that he is the identity of that football team, and he is a tone setter for that football team. Again, taking it back to my time in Seattle, I mean, Marshawn Lynch was a great back, but he was our team. He was the identity of the Seahawks. I mean, he was a tone setter. Finding those guys is really difficult. You know, the guys that bring an attitude, that bring a temperament that the defense can feed off. Those guys are just hard to find. So yes, could they find a replacement for Derrick? Sure. But are they going to find that guy that kind of fuels the entire team? I don't know if there's a guy in this draft that's that guy.
Okay.
Jim Nagy, the Senior Bowl, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Jim, I'm curious about one prospect in particular, Ohio State tackle DeJuan Jones, who I know his measurements just got social media and the NFL world kind of set ablaze a little bit with the way he can move at the just giant human being size that he is. How much can a guy like that help himself at the combine specifically and just showing that quickness in Indianapolis?
Yeah, how about Columbus this year, man?
Yep.
They got Paris Johnson on the left side and DeJuan Jones on the right side. I mean, that's ridiculous. But yeah, I think specifically to DeJuan Jones and where he can help himself. Yeah, with the 89.5-inch wingspan, which is the longest ever recorded. So he's got that. He's got basketball player feet. I mean, the guy had Division I basketball offers. So yeah, he's got all the tools. And the big comp right now is Orlando Brown Jr., right? The Pro Bowl tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, if you go back to Orlando's combine, and I remember time in the 40-yard dash for Orlando because then they put it up. He was one of the worst testers in the history of the combine at the tackle position, and he had one of the 10 slowest 40-yard dash times, and I only remember that because they put it on the Jumbotron during the workouts. After Orlando posted that time, they actually put it on the Jumbotron. They ranked the top 10 slowest 40 times ever. So if DeJuan comes out and even runs like a 5.3 or a 5.4, that's about a full half second better than Orlando. And we've seen Orlando be a Pro Bowl player. So again, that's just another thing that makes you feel good about DeJuan Jones moving forward if he indeed tests that much better than a guy like Orlando Brown, who the tape is very similar to.
Jim Nagy, our guest, executive director of the Senior Bowl, kind enough to give us a couple of minutes this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Jim, man, even a couple weeks later, we look back, we really enjoyed that week down there in Mobile. Hope to do it again future years, absolutely, and always appreciate the time.
Yeah, I loved having you down, guys, and hopefully we can do this after the Titans make all their picks.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks, Jim.
For sure.
Thanks,
There's Jim
Jim
Nagy with us this morning on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Appreciate him on what I know is a busy week.
Yeah.
With everybody wanting a piece of him, giving us
that
a
is
couple
a
of
guy
minutes.
right there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's interesting, too. He was also a scout.
Yeah.
So he understands, how this roll. Hearing him say, not to invite guys because it's going to hurt him.
That was crazy.
Wow.
He exposed some things there that I had no idea.
Either. And
That was
again,
great.
for guys that's coming out of it, it's opened my eyes to man, it's more than just what you do. Your coaches, the strength coach that he mentioned that told him this kid's gonna run a 4.6. They know you before you even start up.
Yeah. Coming up next, it is a special edition of Scout Meeting Wednesday from our own 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster as we break down the consensus top 3 offensive tackles in the draft. We've got Rhett Bryan coming up at 9 o'clock. We're going to get into some of the big names across all positions with him at the Combine in about an hour. But Ramon dives deep into the film on Paris Johnson, Peter Skoronski, and Broderick Jones, the best athlete, the best NFL-ready tackle, and perhaps the guy with the highest ceiling, courtesy of our 11-year NFL veteran. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Window Nation. And if you're noticing your energy costs have been rising over the last year, well, nationwide, it's up over 14%. And it's not too late to fix your high energy bills, all while getting off-season prices from Window Nation. You can beat the rush with 2 free windows with every 2 you buy, plus pay 0 down, make 0 payments, and get 0% financing for 24 months. Yes, that's 2 years paying nothing. You can call 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com. And right now, 43% of your utility bill is heating costs. You can save up to 30% on your heating bills with Window Nation. Windows increase the value of your home by up to $12,000. Get a federal tax credit up to $500. And the best thing, too, is the average installer, so you don't have to worry about anything, has over 16 years of experience with over 20,000 windows installed. Again, and the best way to know about this is if your windows are leaking, they're drafty, hard to close or crack when you close them. Yes, you do need new windows. Again, Window Nation has the best deal, again, where you buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free. You'll pay 0 down, make 0 payments, and get 0% financing for 24 months. Simply call them at 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com.
Wednesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered by our friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen. Our phone number 615-737-1045. On a Wednesday morning in football season, this time is dedicated towards scouting the next Titans opponent. We affectionately call it Scout Meeting Wednesday, if you're new to the show. And today, Ramon Foster gives us a special edition of Scout Meeting Wednesday because there are 3 big tackle prospects who are going to make the rounds of the NFL Combine, who you are likely going to continue to hear be the number 1, 2, and 3 options, respectively, to beat Tennessee Titans at number 11. Ramon Foster, we begin by asking, if the Titans stay at number 11, what are the odds they are picking a left tackle?
High with this group. Unless you decide to go in a franchise-altering direction. Unless there's a guy that slips for some kind of wild reason, I see you getting a left tackle, in my opinion, because I think these guys are strong enough and they fit everything that Vrabel said he was looking for as far as what he wants out of this team, especially yesterday's comments about being able to protect Ryan Tannehill or Malik or Josh Dobbs is what he said, right? So best way to get that type of protection is one of these 3 tackles if available, and I think one of them will be, or you get Osiris Torrance, the guard, too.
Yep.
But, yeah, I'm going to break them down. I'm going to go as quick as I can but thorough as I can so we can discuss it, too.
So let's where do you want to start with Paris?
No, I'm going to start with Peter.
Okay,
I think the way go ahead.
We'll rank them in order here of who you think is 1, who you think is 2, and who you think is 3.
That's complex, Will.
You said during the break who you thought it was 1, so go.
This is complex. Who's ready to start right now?
Who would you pick?
If I'm picking and he's still there, Peter Skoronski.
Okay.
For what you need.
Okay.
But my thing is, I think a team gets him. It's Peter Skoronski. It's Broderick.
Oh.
And then it's Paris.
He's giving Paris no love.
Paris got a lot of love, Kayla. Like
put him at 3, bro.
No, because I'm going to give you his reason when I get to him,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And 3 for a top 11 pick. Listen to me. I went to 256. Being the number 3 overall tackle ain't a bad thing when you go undrafted. So
that's good living.
That's good living. Either way.
Good living.
Peter Skoronski. Big Ten kid, Northwestern kid. I'm saying big time conference and also a smart kid.
Smart.
Very smart kid. And that doesn't mean he's a lame-o either. That just means you got to be very well versed to get into Northwestern. The Big Ten is known for linemen. Always a lineman-heavy conference, okay? Both defensive and offensive linemen. I straight up wrote it like this. Don't have his true measurables on any of these guys because they hadn't ran their 40s been measured as it stands right now. One of his best games, though, came against Aiden Hutchinson last year. He primarily plays left, really good hips, good hand, moves lateral very well. He doesn't tip much in his stance, meaning he can be up in the gun or down in the three-point stance also, and he looks very comfortable there. Some guys look timid when they go down in three-point stance and they got to kick. He looks good, man. I put in there, he can go up and down in his stance. He's very fluid. Has pulled, which Vrabel likes to do, the offense they have run where they had Taylor Lewan or somebody pulling, guard and tackle pulling if they want to get to that style of ball moving down the line too. Has pulled and does well in the run game. This is some of his knocks. Hands do get wide when he goes against his defenders, when he punches. I was like a little bit of a grabber / clamper. Willie Colon said that about me last week. I was a clamper, but I had long arms and I was a big dude.
Peter doesn't have as long as arms. Is that correct?
And he invites you into his chest. He better fix that quick or find ways to make sure his feet are always good to cover that up because people are going to stab him in his chest and move around him. But of this group, he ain't the only one that does this too.
Right.
And mind you, Peter's the oldest one, but the rest of these guys they're true juniors. They're 3 years from
21,
high school.
Right? Junior.
Yeah. Young guy.
Young.
Okay. I was like a little bit of a grabber of a playmaker like I used to do. I was like, it ain't bad because he moves well from hiding also after grabbing. But an NFL vet would try to expose that. His biggest con is his wide hands, which is funny because he's got short arms. But the thing is, if he's got shorter arms, that means if his hands are tight, you can get him off balance by swiping his hands down. So that's honestly a strategic thing for a guy like him. Stay wide, be good enough because you trust your feet well enough.
Yeah.
But move well enough to cover up your your deficiencies with your arms.
Has he also, I think I read he has been a starter like since his freshman year,
And that's
which is
another thing.
incredible.
Yes, it is. But I also put in there that that's a workable thing. I was like, folks will get to his chest. From last year to this year, he looks like a totally different person. His body looked different from last year. He looks stronger, and his feet are better. And he also comes out as a junior as an All-American. Peter Skoronski, solid. Plug and play right now. He's the only one in this group that started 3 years and also left tackle primarily.
So the thing I want to do for these three guys,
unless I missed something.
That's right.
I want you to give us a superlative for each of the three. Most NFL ready, most athletic, highest ceiling.
Most NFL ready for Peter Skoronski.
So Peter Skoronski is your most NFL ready tackle of the top three.
Could he not be there perhaps, though?
Oh, I don't know.
There's a chance none of these guys are there.
Yeah.
There is that chance, but the way they're shuffling and moving for quarterbacks, more quarterbacks mean more positions.
Okay.
I would imagine at the very least one of these three is available at 11, yes?
I think so too.
The way I look at it now, yes.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
The stats on Skoronski from Pro Football Focus before we move on to your number 2. 6 pressures across 474 pass blocking snaps. In Pro Football Focus, they write this in their draft preview. One of the best pass blocking seasons in PFF's 9 years grading college offensive linemen for Peter Skoronski. He is adept in pass blocking. His feet, balance, and hand usage, PFF likes a lot. But from what you're telling me, it sounds like he's trying to make up for some of his physical deficiencies with his hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
By his footwork.
He's trying to make up for a lot of the things that he doesn't have in terms of arm length.
Yes. But
he's got good feet.
Other than it's like you can get into his chest.
Right.
But his feet are so good that. And then this is the thing. So you look at his highlights. It's a couple out there with him getting flat back. But listen, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. Everybody's been on their butt at some particular time at any position.
You know his grandfather played for the Green Bay Packers for a long time too? It's like in his blood.
It's got the DNA of it. You said, okay, superlatives. You said highest ceiling, most
just
NFL ready.
whatever you have.
Okay.
Not just what I have.
All right, for sure. I was just wondering how you wanted to categorize it.
Just the biggest strength out of these three guys is what I want to know.
Biggest strength? Okay. All right. For Paris Johnson, his run game right now.
So number 2, you've got Paris Johnson.
Paris Johnson.
Okay.
Oh, you moved him to 2?
No. I'm just going in order of where I have him at. He's 3 on this list.
Okay.
And this is for this reason. Let me go ahead and go through my list. Another Big Ten lineman. He has been that dude, the guy that knocks since high school. If you want to look at an offensive lineman film from high school and what it takes to be a 5-star, go look at his. He sized everybody up and he dogged them like he should. That's why I tell my kids, I don't care if they're 5'10". It's not your fault. Go treat them like that, okay? He did that, and he's been that good for a very long time. Came out as a 5-star. His high school film is legendary. Played guard and tackle. That's a bonus for him, but to me, it's a little bit of a knock, too. May honestly be more of a project than a bona fide all-pro Pro Bowler early, meaning he's got to learn. My issue with him is he did play guard. He's only had 1 year of left tackle. It's not a big knock because he played left tackle fine. Only gave up 1 year at Ohio State. He gave up 2 sacks, 9 pressures.
Okay.
Good footwork, aggressive. But his biggest strength right now, is run game. And I think that's because he played interior first, because he has a knack for physicality. The best way for a young offensive lineman to get on the field, be physical. And he was that. Passing game, got to grow up a little bit, but that's most guys coming into the NFL. I got played 1 year at tackle, 13 starts at guard and 12 at tackle. So the experience factor coming into the NFL could be a thing. A true junior, so it says a lot about his ceiling. I will say that too. If coached well, that's the other part you brought up. If coached well, his potential can be through the roof. Still a lot of unknown of what he possesses. I think what's your guy from Ohio State that came on with us?
Nicholas Petit-Frere?
No.
Joshua Perry.
Joshua
Perry. He said they didn't know about his physicality and he was inconsistent.
In the beginning.
Go ahead.
What I'm hearing is that out of the 3 tackles, this is the one John Robinson would have been the most interested in.
Yeah, 100%.
Best of the run game, highest ceiling, a little bit more of a project. You're getting value at a potential all-pro guy.
Yeah.
But it might take you a couple years to get there. But at the very least, he's going to maul people in the run game.
100% will.
So this is a John Robinson
That's a
left
John
tackle.
Robinson guy. Very athletic and aggressive, always looking for work too, because that's what young guys always do. Always. Better, tighter hands than Skoronski, but Skoronski has better technique because he's only played left tackle. But he's always looking to finish blocks in the run game. Not as strong as you want him to be on the second level, but but that's always a maturity thing when I have to. Again, young, good football IQ. My thing is not a lot of football in his short career, only a 2-year starter. He only played like 20-some snaps his freshman year.
Right. And that's because when you're at Ohio State, there's so many guys above you that it's like, and I get that though, but when you play at a level like that and you're coached with the coaching they have there, I feel like they have such an advantage over other guys. And I'm not saying he's more talented than Peter, but I do think you have to take that into account.
Yeah, 100%. Again, really good. My number 2 guy on this list, I'm gushing over. I'm going to be real with you. Broderick Jones.
Oh.
From Georgia.
Okay.
From Georgia. Hands down, the most athletic guy of this group. Easily. Also came out of high school as a 5-star. No sacks on the way to back-to-back national championships this year, and he played in the SEC. Boom. Okay, you have that working for you, too. Ultra athletic. You watch him walk, and you know he's that good at what he does, man. Really good feet, quick, good power, good explosion, just very unpolished. Very unpolished, though.
Wait, so detail.
Very unpolished, meaning he athletic. He's an athlete with what he does. He know he's that good of an athlete. Technique kind of goes out the window a little bit. He jumps out kind of like how Trent Williams does.
Okay.
Don't ever watch Trent Williams. Watch Bakhtiari.
Okay.
Because he's a technician.
Okay.
And it's interesting, the PFF description on him is when Jones squares up a defensive end cleanly, he's the most impressive tackle in the class.
Cleanly.
You see what I'm saying?
Pretty much right with what you're saying.
Exactly what I'm saying. Like, I saw him, his IQ is so good for a young guy. Didn't block one, but blocked 2. And athletic enough to get the inside guy and get the outside guy. So it's there for him. Again, don't watch his technique is what I would tell you, man. His athleticism allows him to let defenders into his body. He also has wide arms, so that's something that has to be done. I was like, he will learn quick on the next level. He has the ability to set and wait with wide hands because he's good enough with his feet. I can see this kid being, listen to me, a very solid left tackle, depending on his development and his O-line coach, or an all-pro guard.
Okay.
I said probably the most athletic tackle coming out. This dude ain't Isaiah Wilson.
Well, and that's the second question for me is a lot of people have a little PTSD because of that situation. And we've heard they kind of coddle some guys at Georgia a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So let's go to Peter. Most NFL rated right now, day 1 starter. Highest ceiling and high ceiling and position flexibility goes to Paris.
Okay.
Paris is most physical of this group. Overall, the best potential, highest potential goes to Broderick. I see him being a solid left tackle, or he's not big enough and athletic enough that he can move inside and be a friggin' all-pro guard. Like, not Pro Bowl, all-pro.
So you want to know overwhelmingly the guy I want out of those 3 based on your analysis?
Let me hear.
Peter Skoronski.
Yep, I do too.
I'm with Peter.
Overwhelmingly. I have no interest in guys who are mainly run game maulers.
Yeah.
Who are fundamentally not as good yet have a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
At this point in the Titans evaluation process, and again, it's not fair to Rand Carthon, but now he's got to make up for the mistakes of his previous predecessor in John Robinson. Give me the guy with the highest floor all day long.
With the highest floor. I see what you did there.
But the problem is I don't think Peter's going to, because he is the best out of those 3, and I don't think he'll be there. So then do you pass on?
The thing with Peter is you're going to get a very solid guy that don't make any noise from what I saw from him, but you're going to be like, ain't nothing coming off the left side. You're not going to get the Taylor antics. Or I hate to say antics, but you don't get the Taylor character. You know, the way he does stuff. You're going to be like, well, man, they got Peter over there. That's what you're going to say to him. But then you get a guy like Broderick or Paris, and you're going to be like, oh, did you see him running down the field? Like, you're going to get that type of stuff because they're going to pop on film a whole lot more than Peter does.
Right.
So who do you want in this fast offense? You said Peter.
I think Peter is the most versatile for life after Derrick Henry.
But are you okay if he goes and there's these two guys? Who would you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the other two, I think I like Paris Johnson more as the secondary option.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just from what you're telling me about his own versatility and him just kind of walking around as the dude, as the guy. Broderick Jones, to me, yes, the Isaiah Wilson thing, it's not fair to him, but the Isaiah Wilson thing is going to hang over him here.
Was Isaiah a 5-star coming out? Like, he came
He
from
was
New
a
York
big
and
time
developed.
Oh,
he was a big-time prospect all the way.
Yes, he was.
And I think Paris, even though he hasn't played as much tackle, Broderick Jones kind of just stepped into that role as the left tackle for Georgia.
Oh, his last 2 years, he started there.
Right, but Paris has played more football overall at Ohio State.
No, he hasn't. They're the same. The last 2 years, they both have started. My thing is, as far as left tackle goes, I put Broderick at left tackle before I would put Paris at left tackle.
Okay.
Because Broderick's had 2 years of starting at left tackle as a true sophomore and as a true junior, and went on to win 2 national championships. And also, those 2 dual players that I said he was blocking, that was him as a sophomore blocking the Vols and Neyland. He ended up getting Byron Young and another DB off the edge. And I'm like, you see that from pros. You don't see that from friggin' true sophomores.
Yep.
I ain't want to dog us out like that, but yeah, that was against us.
The strengths and weaknesses from Pro Football Focus on both of these guys. For Paris Johnson, it says only 10 pressures allowed all season. His hands are what are keeping him from the number 1 spot on the list, as they are still a work in progress. Too often cedes the first contact battle with defenders, was the knock on Paris Johnson. They have Broderick Jones as the number 4 tackle. Pro Football Focus
who's
does.
Above?
And we'll get to that coming up after the break.
There we go. Ba-dum-bum.
But the positives and negatives on Broderick Jones says he's built like a slab of granite.
Whoa.
With very low body fat for a 300-plus pound tackle. The fact that he was so adept at moving people against their will, and here you go, his first season as a full-time starter, which was last year.
Yeah.
He was still splitting time at the tackle position, Broderick Jones.
Between him and that other 5-star kid,
Yep.
the one that had the allegations with us, the McDonald's bags. I'll give you his name here in a minute.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
The big tackle from Georgia. He jumped in the ball.
Amarius
Mims.
Amarius Mims.
Yeah, they were splitting
That's right.
time.
As soon as you said McDonald's bags, I knew it. And then the knock on Broderick Jones from Pro Football Focus. The worries come in pass protection, as Jones is a touch stiffer than you'd like for a top tackle prospect. Because of that, he struggles to regain leverage off blocks and react to defenders on the move. Said the rest is there, though, to be a quality starter at the next level.
Yeah.
And I even wrote last night in doing my own evaluation before we talked about it, seems like a better fit as a John Robinson tackle than a whoever. Well, we don't even know what a Rand Carthon tackle is, but than a
I'll
Rand
tell you
Carthon tackle.
one thing, that Paris Johnson is not with John Robinson. That character is through the roof.
Yeah,
the
100%.
stories about Paris, man. He is legit.
He's been
dude.
groomed for this role. Paris has.
So if Broderick Jones is the number 4 tackle in Pro Football Focus's rankings, who's number 3? We'll tell you coming up next on our Bone, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
What is up? And it is time to bring in one of our favorite people. I'm joined now by Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, your expert in trees and shrubs right here in Middle Tennessee. And Dean, you and your team do a great job. We tell this to everybody out there each and every week. Now, we have had, though, some up and down weather. We've experienced some really cold temps as well, especially at night. And you guys do plant care the best. What can you tell us about the freeze damage and how you can help that?
That's right. Up 29 years now, we've been serving the community here. And what I can tell you about these plants and these trees and shrubs around your home, especially your ornamental plants, I'm sure everybody's seeing a lot of damage from the December freeze we had when it went from 75 degrees to -7. That was really bad, really hard on a few different species for sure. One thing I can tell you is our 7-app program, the people that are signed up, we've had on for years now, that we come around 7 times a year, monitor all your trees and shrubs and keep them fed, keep the disease and insects and pest control, keep that under control, I should say. they thrive, and they didn't have the damage that people that weren't on the program. So it's proven. We're seeing it now that a lot of this is coming back, the folks that are on our program. So give us a call, 615-299-9999. You guys know the number, and we're all things trees, Arbor Tree Care. We want to serve you if we can, so give us a call. We're going to be honest and transparent. We want to keep you around for a long time and take care of your investment. That's all I got. Have a great day. Thank you.
And that's why we love you guys there. Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, your experts. Check them out online at arborart.net. And like Dean said, you could call them as well, 615-299-9999. That's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub.
Kayla Anderson. Yeah, she's on this show. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and proud to be participating in the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Visionaries of the Year campaign to help fight against blood cancer. Please consider supporting this organization by making a contribution to her campaign. You can do it by going to 1045thezone.com/Team Kayla. All donations greatly appreciated and tax deductible. Hashtag Team Kayla.
Team Kayla is right, Jonathan Schaefer, because we are Team Kayla on this show 24/7, 365.25.
You can also go to my Twitter. It's real easy because I know people are social media savvy out here. I got it pinned up there, and all you got to do is click on the link. And, yeah, let's do this, guys. We got about 3 months to raise as much money as we can, so we need your help.
Ramon Foster just did a great breakdown on a Scout Meeting Wednesday offseason edition on the top 3 tackles in the NFL draft. Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, and Peter Skoronski, who are the consensus among most draft experts, in some order, the top 3. Well, the draft experts at Pro Football Focus disagree. They are one of the dissenting opinions that there is another tackle, Ramon, who is number 3 instead of Georgia's Broderick Jones, who many even, including yourself, have as the second best tackle in this draft. Do you have a guess on who this might be?
Tackles? Darnell?
Not Darnell, right?
Okay. I had no clue after that one.
Oklahoma's Anton Harrison.
I saw that.
The number 3 tackle from Pro Football Focus has the uncoachable smoothness that you can't help but admire from a 300-plus pounder. He moves like an NBA power forward with feet, body, and hands perfectly in sync, which helped him surrender only 9 pressures on 447 pass blocking snaps this season. And he had been seeing time at left tackle, Ramon, ever since his true freshman season in 2020.
What was the first part of that description? Can you go back to the beginning?
Smooth.
I really don't want to.
No, please do.
Uncoachable smoothness.
Smooth.
Ramon, okay.
And his name is Will Bowles.
Oh, you took no! You ruined the game! I missed it.
You ruined the game!
I missed it. No, I missed it.
We were going to make that about Ramon.
I missed it. No. I missed it. That's Small J out here, y'all. Will knew it. You got it. Hey. L solid. Okay.
If you ever wonder who knocks, if there's one in this building that does or doesn't knock, I'm the one who knocks.
He's the one who knocks.
Say my name. Uncoachable smoothness. Weekdays from 6 to 10.
You just uncoachable.
You just
I
set up the bet.
I accept.
Was rolling with it. And then Will just decided to go all over the bet.
Wait till I get my opening.
It's my turn. My turn.
It was my turn.
That's how we all the
One
intros,
day.
Kayla.
One day.
Actually, you know what? You can
One
blame
day.
Buck and Lucas, because otherwise
One
Robert's
day I'll
working
have
on
an
that
opening
show.
of my own.
And he would be. Actually, we came up with ideas for 3 different opens for you.
Give me them all.
I only got one.
Planning on it.
Thank you.
It's like being on 3HL.
Anton Harrison, though. Oklahoma's been known for it. I think that's why, what's his name went out there, too. Wanye
Morris. Yeah, that's right. We go to Alvin in Nashville, closing out hour 3 before we get to Rhett Bryan on the other side. Good morning, Alvin.
How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I got 2 questions for y'all. I hope y'all can answer for me.
Okay.
My first question is, if the Titans was to get, what's the guy, Mike McGlinchey out of
McGlinchey.
Yeah. If they was to get him in free agency, do you think they would still get a tackle at 11, or would they trade back? Because I really like that guard
Osiris
out of Florida.
Yep.
I love that guard.
Yeah.
Also, do you also think they would also think about trading back just to get picks, move Nicholas Fair to left tackle,
right,
and getting a Darnell Wright or something like that? I'm going to hang up and listen to you guys. Thank y'all for everything.
Thank you, Alvin.
I heard you in Nashville coming out saying, like, get.
Those are both very good options.
They are. If you
Very
get
good
McGlinchey, MPF's moving over to the left side. And right now it's early enough to actually do that. And also getting a guard, you can move back. I think Osiris is good enough, but he may end up placing between 15 to 20 when it comes down to that position of drafting a guard.
Problem is, according to Spot Track, the estimated average salary that Mike McGlinchey will get on the open market, $14.8 million a year.
Oh, McGlinchey.
For right tackle?
Titans don't have that money for a right tackle.
You always make it work.
I don't think they're going to want to make it work for a right tackle.
Signing bonuses. Oh my gosh.
15
There's so many
this is like playing
options.
chess.
I know.
Hey, you ready for this?
What?
They can spend that money they saved on A.J. Brown.
Oh, and there's Schaefer with your weekly reminder.
That was a whammy.
That's your weekly reminder.
Wow, okay.
That was from Anchorman.
I
idiot.
know what it's from.
My name
You ruin a bit, then you
is Will
play
Bowling.
You've really sucked this segment, Will.
Oh,
Dang.
I pissed down my leg.
You dang.
holy smokes.
9:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The NFL scouting combine began yesterday at Indianapolis. Titans GM Ran Carthon and Coach Mike Vrabel and offensive coordinator Tim Kelly all spoke to the media. Here's Ran Carthon discussing Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan is under contract. You know, I know you guys, I just want to speak freely for a moment. You know, I know everybody wants to make a big deal, you know, out of the quarterback position and whether he will or won't be here. But you guys just have to accept the fact that Ryan is under contract, you know, for us. And right now he's a Titan and he will be a Titan.
Our combine coverage continues throughout the week with the Buck Rising Show live from Indy. Thanks to Scoreboard Bar and Grill, Dick and Surf and Landscape Supply, and John Roberts Nissan. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio will join us momentarily on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. The Predators traded defenseman Matthias Ekholm to the Edmonton Oilers for defenseman Tyson Barrie, prospect Reed Schaefer, a 2023 first-round pick, and a 2024 fourth-round pick. Predators retaining 4% of Ekholm's remaining salary. Penguins defeated the Predators 3-1 last night at Bridgestone Arena. Pittsburgh scored 3 goals in the final period for the win. To the association, Grizzlies 121, Lakers 109. Ja Morant a triple-double, 39 points, 10 boards, 10 assists. College basketball last night on Rocky Top. Number 12 Tennessee defeated Arkansas 75-57. Zakai Ziegler, though, left the game with an apparent leg injury. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And it's the fourth and final quarter, the fourth and final hour of the Wednesday morning edition. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, with our 11-year NFL veteran and Vol for Life, Ramon Foster.
Yay.
With our capitalized J journalist. Don't you dare put a dot over the J when you discuss our Kayla Anderson.
I'll hit you.
Hashtag Team Kayla. And the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer, making the show happen.
The best producer in the world!
Don't you ever call him the second best. And when you go to Indianapolis and to Radio Row at the NFL Combine, we've also got the best NFL producer in the world, not just in that room where he joins us from Indianapolis this morning, but in the world, Craig. His name is Rhett Bryan. Good morning, Rhett. How are you?
Good morning, ladies and gents. How are we?
Good. You sound phenomenal, by the way. The sound is just like perfection.
Well, thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
I strive for perfection. This is. I love coming to the Combine. You know how much I love the NFL Draft, and it's one of those things where, for the casual person just walking down the street who is not here for the Combine, and perhaps they're here for another convention or they're just a resident, whatever, you can run into NFL serious coaches, things like that, and in some cases NFL royalty, and if you're not looking, you'll miss it. And that's the thing that I love about this is everybody's in one place. Like I rode down the elevator this morning with Kellen Moore, the former Cowboys offensive coordinator, who's now the Chargers offensive coordinator. And the thing was, like Rhett's, people are going to say, well, Rhett's a name dropper. It's like, no, I'm not trying to not drop names here. This is really how it is. It's really strange. Mm-hmm. So Coach Mack took us to dinner last night at St. Elmo's Steakhouse, which you got to do that.
Yes.
But sitting in a smaller table just next to us was the Pittsburgh Steelers general manager and the Rooney family.
Goodness.
And, of course, they made it a point to seek out and speak to Coach Mack, and Mack said to me afterwards, he said, they have always treated me with the utmost respect. A lot of, because I was hired by Mike Ditka, and, the storied franchise, game knows game. Game recognizes game. And that's just the kind of atmosphere it is here in town, is you never know who you're going to see or run into. And this morning I've been over at the podiums, recording some sound and talking to a lot of these defensive linemen, a lot of interesting prospects in here. And that's one of my favorite things is just kind of hear these guys' stories There's a pass rusher from LSU here, Ollie Gay, who came to this country at 12 years old. He's from what they call the Smiling Coast of Gambia. And his father came over into Washington State in 2007. And until they could get asylum, his mother and his family, he didn't see his dad for 4 years. And so 4 years later, they finally come to the United States. And it's a typical story of West African kids who come to this country and that they have good footwork and agility that way because they played soccer. And then they end up falling in love with the game of football. And here he is, one of the 319 combine invites with a chance to realize his dream in the National Football League. That's what this is about to me in terms of the humanizing stories part of this, because some of them have incredible stories.
That's awesome. And that is the beauty of the combine, rep, because you have the brand names like Nolan Smith at Georgia, who, again, by the way, I heard he made a comment this morning of like, at Georgia, we do more with less. Like, okay, buddy, like you guys just had the number one recruiting class in the country. Like, I don't know what we're doing. I enjoy hearing from guys like that, Rhett. And I remember talking to Obena Easy, the guy from Davidson Academy right here in Nashville. It was at TCU last year, and just hearing some of these.
Yeah, he was here last year.
Right.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That's Ron Slay's guy.
That's right. Yeah. Hearing those kinds of stories, certainly the cool part of this, and all of the draft analysts and writers who get up front and personal one-on-one conversations with those interesting kind of characters.
Well, it's funny you bring up Nolan Smith because I'm kind of stick and move like a older boxer in this. I'm not a boxer. Going from podium to podium. And it was Jim Wyatt who got my attention. He said, hey, have you listened to Nolan Smith? And so I stood there for a few minutes. This guy, one of the magnetic personalities invited to this thing, because a lot of guys are, this is a scary process. They're trying to, they got them to think about, and they've put all this work in. Nolan Smith is holding court for 20 minutes, and I'm talking 50, 100 deep around him in media, and he's just electric. And so that's the other part of this, is just kind of see who is really has the personality in this. Another guy who's polarizing at the position is Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, who, has played all over their defensive line. But, because he is a redshirt sophomore and he gave up his last 2 years of eligibility, he never started a game for Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. And so people are trying to figure out exactly where he is along the line. Is he a defensive end in a 4-3? And first of all, he looks like a Ken doll. He's a very handsome young man. He's a very handsome young man, very polite young man, and so he had a bunch of folks around his podium as well. Perhaps I think one of the more interesting ones here as the first day of players come through is Caleb Murphy, the pass rusher from Ferris State.
Wow.
Ferris State is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and this young man, what an interesting journey he has had to this point. He was the Ted Hendricks Award winner for best pass rusher in Division II college football. He had 25.5 quarterback sacks for Ferris State last year, and just tons of tackles for loss. Now, here's the interesting thing. He's clearly invited here because that kind of production, even in a smaller place, he's showing some type of athletic traits that they're looking for in this, because he's going to have to add some functional play strength to be able to keep up in this level, because he's 6'4.5", 6'5", and only about 215. You can tell he's really lean. So he's going to have to add some play strength. And that was kind of some topics with the other guys. Will McDonald IV from Iowa State, who we met at the Senior Bowl, he said he was playing last year around 235. He's at 243 currently, trying to get to about 250 and stay at that weight, knowing the punishment the NFL has in 17 weeks of play.
Right. When it comes down to this, the combine, man, you said it's 319 prospects there.
That's correct.
But it's only 256 picks, because you got some of these underclassmen
plus whatever the compensatories are.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a whole lot of these guys that are not going to be drafted. You know that story better than anybody, my friend.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. When you're going through and trying to parse between the guys that can play dual positions that you don't know where they fit, what do you think, since you're there watching these measurements and stuff, what really separates those guys that you don't know how to draft them with these evaluations?
Well, I think for these teams that are interviewing these prospects, and they only get I don't know, was it 18 minutes or whatever? I
Yeah.
think that's a part of it because you get to kind of peek behind the curtain and get the at least introductory level talk to these young men to gauge. Like I was talking to Mike Vrabel about it yesterday, and I said, how do you really know if a guy loves football? And he said, well, you can see them go through the motions even on the practice field. He said, I just look for body language. You can tell. He said, I'm not saying they're lying. He said, but you know when someone is contrite about it. And so I think that's part of it. The other part of this, for the big men that we're talking about today, these defensive linemen and pass rushers, it's clearly there in these drills that they do. And, listen, I've said it publicly. I'm a fool for a 40-yard dash time. I love a good 40 time like anybody else because it's exciting. But truly, it's not as much about that. For these big guys, and you know this, Ramon, it's a 3-cone drill. You get to a 3-cone drill in a short shuttle, and you start seeing numbers like in the 3-cone drill, if you're under 7 seconds, and remarkably, you can look at it. There's a trend right now with offensive linemen in that respect. I forget how many in the last 2 or 3 drafts have been drafted rather than undrafted because they had a quick 3-cone drill time to show that short area quickness, because in their jobs, it's in the trenches, and to get to a point of attack or a point of a block, you got to get there quickly, point A to point B.
And before I dive into football stuff, coming up on this break, like I know he don't need it, Rhett, but how much security does Coach Mack have around him, man?
It's probably a thought that we need to be better prepared for that because I call him the mayor of everywhere for a reason, and you name it. Coach Mack, you'll hear it walking down the street, going to dinner or what, He knows everyone. It's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's not just in coaching circles. It's not just the scouts. It's not just the evaluators. It's the national analysts. Of course, you don't think about it, but back a few years ago, he was a head coach in the league, and he's interviewed for those head coaching positions and then was a defensive coordinator. So that's kind of why all of this is in one spot and why, conversations about what might end up being eventual draft night trades happen is because the exploratory conversations happen here first, and everybody knows everybody in circles.
That's what I was just going to say, because I always hear stories about that when you're in Indianapolis. It's pretty close quarters because you can get around everything easy. That's why they really have it there.
That's right.
Tim Kelly is up there, obviously, with Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel. Tim spoke yesterday. I thought that was great to hear from him. Did you get to hear any of his comments, Rhett? I don't know if you were actually in the scrum.
I actually have listened to part of them.
Yeah.
I was actually doing a different interview at the time he was speaking. Clearly smart guy. Clearly has an idea about what he wants to do. And in talking to Mike Vrabel about that, he said, listen, he wasn't in that position, didn't think it was necessary for him to speak during the 2022 season. Now that he has been elevated to that position, he said this was the perfect place and the time to get him out in front to start talking about things. I don't know what all we've gleaned from him, and I don't think there's any major things you can pick out of this as far as what his offensive philosophies and styles are. I think we're going to know that in time, but you certainly come away impressed with his knowledge of the game and just the kind of way he carries himself. And listen, you can look at his resume in Houston and what they've struggled with since he left, and he wasn't working with the greatest quarterbacks. I mean, he did some things with Deshaun Watson, but post Deshaun Watson, some of those kids had some nice showing. I mean, you have a game where Tyrod Taylor throws 300 yards against the Titans. Davis Mills, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell he's got the the acumen.
Rhett, there are 3 pass catchers in particular who may need a big day at the Combine that I want to get to when we come back. Quentin Johnston, Michael Mayer, and Tennessee's Jalen Hyatt. How each of those 3 guys could help themselves this week in Indianapolis for different reasons. We'll get into that coming up next as Rhett Bryan joins us live from Indianapolis. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, they are the heating and cooling company that can take care of all your HVAC needs. And guess what? We've hit March, which means spring is right around the corner, and it may be getting hot early this year. If you haven't already booked a spring tune-up for your AC unit, now is the time. Through the month of March, get your AC tuned up for just $79 and get a fall tune-up for free. And did you turn on that AC unit recently and realize it wasn't working like it should? Don't wait until the peak summer to get it repaired. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers free service costs with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs, too. And tell them why they do this, Kayla.
We love the family there at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. We've got to meet them. We chat with them all the time. They're always checking up on us as well. And, they really are family owned and operated, a company with over 20 years of experience. That's hard to find sometimes, especially in a growing city. This is a family business known for their outstanding customer service. And you say, well, why is that? Because it's not that company reputation. It's a family reputation. So they can't hide behind anything, you guys. The Spring Hill Heating and Cooling family, well, they respond promptly to any of your issues. And we know with the up and down weather, that can happen a lot here in Middle Tennessee. They get to your problems, they resolve them, and they do it accurately.
Speaking of accurately, if you need a new unit, they've got you covered there too. Get it done now and get 18 months of no payments. You heard us right. If you buy a new unit today, you won't have to pay for it until August of 2024. That's 2 Nashville summers of having your home perfectly cool. Seems like a no-brainer. Again, go to springhillac.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon and Kayla sent you.
Wednesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling as we continue our draft conversation live from Indianapolis with Rhett, Bryan of Titans Radio. And as always, it is presented by our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans. Rhett, I wanted to ask you about three guys in particular of different profiles who, and just reading about the combine and about the draft, three guys that can really help themselves with those fast 40s that you were talking about. Rhett, we asked Jason Swain earlier this week his over-under for Jalen Hyatt's 40. He was going in the 4.2s for that guy coming up here later this week.
You know, and there's a lot of folks who share that same sentiment. We're going to find out, obviously, for sure this week when that happens. But, yeah, I don't think he's the fastest prospect here, but I think he's going to wow some people with that time. There's a list of guys that I'm interested in to see, where they are. Jalen Hyatt, I think, is one of the guys who can continue to help himself this week. Obviously, in the interview process, for one, that's going to, show who he is a little bit to the teams who request that. But the other part is when you get into these drills at Lucas Oil Stadium there in the field, being able to show more of that catching prowess because, you think about Josh Heupel's offense and, guys are lined up a lot in the same place doing the same things. And so, there becomes questions about how much of the route tree does he know. And I think anything he can show with that on the playing surface, and obviously what he'll do at his pro day and those kinds of things, or come for a private workout for a team who's super interested, is one of those. Those are things he can help himself with this week. Not that he's in a bad spot. Good Lord, he won the Bolitnikov Award. But
yeah.
I think he can show these more than just a one-trick pony.
So when it comes to the linebacker position, Rhett, we know Cunningham is gone. We don't know what's going to happen yet with David Long Jr. You have Monty Rice that we saw a lot of good stuff from last year. It could be, a position that they're looking at in the draft here. Is there anybody you've seen, and I know they're talking today on the podium, that you feel like, okay, this guy could be a fit?
Okay, so when we're talking linebackers, there are certainly some prospects that would be of interest, and we're talking inline linebackers, because we don't know what's going to happen with David Long as to whether he's going to return or not. One of the top guys in this who probably is going to be a night one pick towards the bottom of the round is the linebacker from Arkansas. And his name escapes me at this point. Yeah. What'd you say, Lucas? Yeah.
Okay.
Drew Sanders.
Yep.
Drew Sanders.
Yep.
Lucas is helping me out here. But yeah, there's some, it's not a great draft for inside linebackers, I should say. But there's plenty of help here. I mean, there absolutely is. Anthony Orji from Vanderbilt is here and has played well for the Commodores, and that could be somebody that is their local invite day and wouldn't count against their top 30 visits, later on down the line. But they can certainly schedule a meeting with him to talk. And I know I was talking with defensive coordinator Shane Bowen in the hotel lobby last night, and they had already been through several interviews on Monday night, and was going to do another 20 interviews with prospects regarding those positions last night. So I didn't ask him if he was one of them, but I would think with him being a local prospect that he would be one of those that would be on their radar.
Right. When it comes down to prospects there, and, of course, looking what the Titans need, man, I think it's fair to kind of say it'd be okay to give Jeff some help up the middle. What are you looking forward to the D-line guys making plays and getting their workouts done and stuff like that? Maybe not a first 3 rounds, but a 4th, 5th round guy that's very solid?
Absolutely. And when you're talking about some of the names that you could be hearing from, and obviously it's funny that the defensive linemen, or ironic, I should say, that the defensive linemen are speaking this morning, because Jalen Carter was supposed to speak at the bottom of the hour here in
Right.
a couple of minutes, and with the news that's come out on him in the last 20, 30 minutes, I don't necessarily think that'll be a thing.
Yep.
But, yeah, there are some guys in here. You know, Dylan Horton from TCU, which is somebody that they talked to at the Senior Bowl, who is also here at the Combine. There's a big guy who he's going to draw comparisons. He'll have a player comp to Vita Vea. He is not as athletic as Vita Vea, but Siaki Ika from Baylor is one of those players that people are going to look at. But there's one in particular that's going to have a lot of people talking to him and a lot of questions around him, and that's Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
Simply because he is an undersized D-line guy, and we know the best undersized D-line guy who also played for Pitt is Aaron Donald. He is not Aaron Donald, but Kalijah Cansey has a chance to be a late first-round pick if things go well for him beginning this week. But, yeah, Ramon, there's all kinds of prospects in this when you get to the later rounds. Whether you're talking about Isaiah Land from Florida A&M, Tyler Lacey from Oklahoma State, who we saw at the Senior Bowl, Will McDonald from Iowa State, who was at the Senior Bowl. He's one of the guys we talked to at the podium, and I think he said he played around 235 for Iowa State and is now up to 243 and wants to play at about 250. So you'll see some guys who have made some transformations while they've been working out in the dungeons, so to speak, and adding that play strength that they need. Like if you saw Zay Flowers, one of the top receivers here from Boston College, has added about 13 pounds of lean muscle mass in the last few weeks. So, guys are trying to get to that playing weight that they want to and, increase their, for lack of a better term, curb appeal to this.
Well, Rhett, one guy whose measurements I'm fascinated to see is Notre Dame tight end Michael Mayer, a guy at Notre Dame who played at 265 pounds at the tight end position, led college football among tight ends in contested catches last year, according to Pro Football Focus, but not expected to run particularly quick in the 40. What does he need to show this week in order to show that he's tight end one in a deep group of tight ends, Rhett, that's got a lot of potential first, second round talent in it?
Well, first of all, unofficially, and this is just numbers I've mined. This is not combine numbers,
right.
But I've seen him at 6'4", 265, hands 10 inches, arms 32 5/8, wings 76 inches, a little shorter on the wing.
Yeah.
But he clearly is mentioned as one of the first tight ends in a rich tight end draft because he's probably one of the better blockers as an inline blocker in this draft. And at the 265, he's built for that inline duty because if you go back and look at Notre Dame and his time there, he was actually used as another big man on the line, the offensive line in short yardage situations where that was a thing in certain moments and spots on the field. He has really good hand strength, really good contact balance to get those contested catches. He'd be a quarterback's best friend on the short to intermediate stuff, that the tough stuff underneath. I think where he can help himself, you're right, I don't know that he'll run a super fast 40 time, but where he'll help himself is continue to show up well in the pass-catching drills, and I think that'll improve his stock, which is already pretty high.
And the other guy I had on my list to ask about, Rhett, is at wide receiver, a similar kind of physical freak, and Quentin Johnston from TCU, Frog, who is trying to work his way up to the top of the draft board at wide receiver. Him, kind of Jordan Addison, at the top of that list in the middle of the first round, 6'4", 215 pounds. It seems like, Rhett, if that guy can run a pretty fast time and show that with that kind of physicality, he has some top-end speed as well. It feels like it's hard to imagine him not being the number one wide receiver if he can run and raise some eyebrows in the 40.
Well, I think he certainly has that chance to be the first receiver taken. And he let me do a little foreshadowing here before we answer the question. First of all, this wide receiver group is not what it has been in the last 2 or 3 years. There isn't a Garrett Wilson. There isn't a Chris Olave. There isn't, just guys you're going, yep, like him. But there's value. And in terms of big receivers, he's certainly the top of the list as a big receiver. There's another guy who's going to garner interest because of his sheer size, and this is ironic, but it's Justin Shorter from Florida, who is not short at all. I think he'll ring in around 6'4" and about 215 himself. So bigger guys are going to naturally stand out. There's a lot of slot receivers and small, as Coach Mack would say, gadget guys who can help you not only as a receiver but as a return person because they have special teams value. But to answer your question about Quentin Johnston, he's going to have to answer questions about his consistency, because the thing is, his contested catch rate is not great last year, considering how big he is. Now, was that a product of being in that offensive system at TCU? Was it a product of Max Duggan at quarterback? I don't know those answers. All I know is he only caught 6 of Max Duggan's 32 passing touchdowns in 2022, who went all the way to the national championship. And you're like, well, why didn't you get more? And so I think the contested catch area is the part of his game where he needs to show that in some of these drills. He'll certainly show it at a pro day, and anybody that invites him for a private workout. He will measure great. I think he's got a wingspan nearly 80 inches, so he certainly looks the part. He just needs to put more on film to show the part and play the part better. But, yeah, he certainly has a shot to be the first receiver taken. Jordan Addison, you mentioned, from Southern Cal, a little more of an undersized receiver. He will draw comparisons a lot in terms of not the game, but necessarily the frame and the weight and the size to a Devontae Smith, the Eagles receiver and Heisman winner from Alabama, a little smaller guy. I think one of the more interesting wide receiving prospects in this, and it may be, a little more polarizing, but is Kayshon Boutte from LSU, who, if you looked at what he did at LSU, he didn't have a great 2022. There are going to be questions about, does he love football? Did he give up on his team? Whatever. Now, he has had a nagging ankle. He has had multiple surgeries on the ankle, so the medicals are going to be huge in this. But he has a first-round type talent. He's just going to have to answer questions and then show up at this thing and do it. Because he's a name, good Lord, how many wide receivers have come out of LSU and have been drafted? And so, there's that. But for all the lack of big receivers, there's Tank Dells from Houston, who we saw at the Senior Bowl, who is lightning quick. Zay Flowers from Boston College. You've got what you're looking for here. You just don't have a ton of the big prototypical size wide receivers.
Well, no surprise, Jim Nagy was on the show a little bit earlier. He said by far the offensive line position, it's just stacked this year. We know that, seeing that firsthand at the Senior Bowl. Rhett, who are you looking forward to just getting to know a little bit more that maybe was not there? I think, do you guys talk to them Friday?
Yes, that is correct. And that's why we're hanging here till Friday. Because obviously that is a point of emphasis and need for the Titans. I would like to hear more from Peter Skronsky from Northwestern, because obviously he was not at the Senior Bowl. We saw a lot of good prospects, whether you're talking about Osiris Torrance, who's probably the first guard taken in this draft, and certainly more of Dawan Jones, who showed up one day down there at the Senior Bowl in Mobile and wowed people and then made a business decision, I believe. And Paris Johnson, who is arguably the top tackle in this draft. It's either him or Peter Skronsky that people will talk about. And either or both of those guys could be there at number 11 for the Titans if that's what they so decide to choose to select at 11. So, and then, I want to hear more from John Michael Schmidt, who, Schmidt, who we met at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, who is arguably the best center prospect. But there's some other offensive linemen here if, the Titans decide to take a center later on. Alan Ali from TCU is here. Alex Forsythe from Oregon is here and is a center. And then one of the more interesting ones to me is Ricky Stromberg from Arkansas, who I forget. There's a lot of fifth-year seniors in this that end up playing in 40, 50, and in some cases 60 games. And he's a guy that played in, I think, 50 games for the Razorbacks. And if you'll see it in a minute, but when you pull up his profile, he just looks like a Tennessee Titan. He looks like a wild man. He's got the Missouri Waterfall mullet in the back, and but he has a lot of experience at that position. And he's not one of, like I feel John Michael Schmitz will probably be the first center taken in the draft. This is a guy that you can get in a little bit of the later rounds, maybe late Friday night going into Saturday, that can help you. Joe Tippmann from Wisconsin, also another one, because we don't know what's going to happen with Ben Jones in this, who had 2 concussions within a month. And quite frankly, he may have to make a decision of his own. And unfortunately for him, the Titans might have to make a decision for him. So, but there are interior offensive line and tackles in this thing, and it just so happens that's where the Titans are going to need some help. And so it's to their advantage that there is a wealth of talent in this year's draft class.
Rhett, Bryan, our guest, presented as always by Farm Bureau Health Plans. For 76 years, Tennesseans have been relying on Farm Bureau Health Plans for their health care coverage, better rates, better coverage, and better service. Rhett, have a good time in Indy. Enjoy a shrimp cocktail for us, and we will see you back here next week.
Sounds great, and we will see you back then, and we will report and see what I saw and heard and who I like. And we'll have the measurables all done by then and what the drills were like for these guys. And then we'll continue to – and then, of course, next week's going to get real interesting because you're talking about the end of the franchise tag window, and you're getting ever closer to the new fiscal year, which is going to be crazy. Not just from the Titans standpoint, but from a league standpoint, is where does Aaron Rodgers go? Does he stay in Green Bay? What happens to Lamar Jackson? It's a roller coaster ride, and we're here for it.
We are.
Lovely. Yeah. Rhett, thank you.
Appreciate it,
Thanks, Rhett.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, there's Rhett Bryan with us this morning from Indianapolis, and coming up, Inky Johnson, Midweek Motivation, and also the headline that Rhett referenced that is taking the NFL Combine by storm. Some difficult news out of Athens, Georgia. Warrants out for the arrest of Jalen Carter, a candidate to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. We'll tell you why coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. One final segment on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. At any time that we can correct ourselves and in doing so, criticize Buck Rising, we take that opportunity.
Hey.
I misspoke on the Nolan Smith quote that I found from Buck saying, quote, "We do more with less at Georgia." Will Compton, actually, of Bussin' with the Boys, former NFL player. I guess former NFL player. I don't know.
Oh, he just got signed. He's not signed.
I love how they said former NFL player, maybe.
He didn't play last year.
He's not currently employed. I mean, that's not even a dig. That's just fact.
Unless somebody was joking. I
Former NFL linebacker Will Compton tweeted out Buck's quote and said, "Do not take the bait. This is totally out of context. He doesn't mean we do more with less talent. He means we do more with less complicated things schematically and gap schemes and things of that nature." So
Dun, dun, dun. There we go.
Look
it's on this thing in sports this week, Buck Rising.
There we go.
Speaking of Georgia,
calling him out.
not a good story coming out of Athens this morning and out of Indianapolis from ex-Georgia star and top prospect Jalen Carter. From ESPN a minute ago, this originally reported by Seth Emerson, college football writer, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution had this out first as well. Police have secured arrest warrants for former Georgia star Jalen Carter stemming from his alleged involvement in a fatal crash involving a teammate. The Athens Clark County Police Department announced this morning that Carter will be arrested for reckless driving and racing. The announcement came after the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that Carter was present at the scene of the January 15th crash and later provided shifting accounts of the wreck to police. Devin Willock, an offensive lineman for the Bulldogs, and recruiting staff member Chandler LaCroix were killed, is what was initially reported, guys, as a single vehicle accident. Details of the investigation that were released this morning cite evidence that they were, quote, operating their vehicles in a manner consistent with racing shortly before the fatal crash. The details of this are not great. There was alcohol involved, and we're talking about Jalen Carter and his Jeep, by the way, that weighs over 5,000 pounds, was going 104 miles per hour.
It's awful.
At 2:30 in the morning. So not a good situation. No, he's not going to speak at the combine now. So both misdemeanors that Jalen Carter is out for arrest for. But man, that's the timing of that on the day of the combine, and obviously when people have lost their lives, the combine and the football element of this is so secondary. But just a tragic part of this story now that involves another party where two have lost their lives. Just kind of heartbreaking stuff out of Athens.
It is. Condolences to the family of those kids that lost their lives. That's all around just bad. I got nothing. Jalen Carter, I mean, that's going to be with him for the rest of his life, the fact that he was there too. So,
yeah.
Tough. Very tough.
So, we finish off the show. Good show this morning.
Very good.
Appreciate Rhett Bryan joining us in Indy. Appreciate as well Jim Nagy this morning. Big show coming up for Buck Rising live from Indianapolis. They've got Mike Vrabel at 11:45 and Titans general manager Rand Carthon, who sat down with Buck, coming up at 12:20 this morning. So make sure you hang on. Coming up next, Buck and Lucas live from Indianapolis. Vrabel and Carthon will join them on this morning's show. We go, though, to the phones to finish off our Wednesday edition, as we do every week, with our guy, Inky Johnson, giving us a little bit of midweek motivation. What's going on, Inky? Great to hear from you, man.
What's up, Ink?
What's up, Ink?
What's going on, guys? How are you all?
Great.
Good, man. Good morning, my brother.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Pleasure, man. It's an honor. Thank you guys for the opportunity to be on.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Anytime. Ink, the floor is always yours, man. You can call in the middle of a commercial break if you got it. You hear me?
I wouldn't do that. I got too much respect for you guys. I wouldn't do that. But I made history. I made history this weekend, man. I got a chance to be at Chick-fil-A on a Sunday.
Oh,
right?
what?
Like I was speaking to the crew on a Sunday.
Oh my
it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I learned something, man, that was amazing. And so I got to spend the day with Chick-fil-A. And I'm sure some of you guys have been to Chick-fil-A that's listening, you know, and some of you guys have experienced the service, right? Like the thing that stands out to me the most is the consistency, right? Like you go to these different locations and the language is the same. The consistency of service is the same. And so I've always wondered, like, man, how does this happen? Right? Like, how do they make this happen to where I can go to this location, language is the same, service is consistent. Like, it's phenomenal. And so when I got there on site, I was walking through the facility and I was noticing different things. And then they took me to these things which they call simulators, right? And what a simulator is at Chick-fil-A, it's a full-fledged restaurant on site, right? They have 4 simulators on site, like 3 to 4 restaurants in warehouses, to where they bring all of their employees and they make them work in these simulators before they send them out into the field. And so all of the employees in the company, they'll put employees in these simulators and they'll tell the employees in the company, go and order whatever you want, right? Like train them, right? Put them under pressure, right? Make them have to adjust, right? Mess up an order, right? Take them through opposition. Get angry with them. See how they respond, right? And I was like, got it. And I was at the meeting and one of the execs said something. He said, it doesn't just happen. Championship teams have championship cultures, and it's built on habits. Every single day showing up